Bring in the boss one. I'm gonna get mine. I'll do the crime if you can do the time. Don't tell me. You gotta keep off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you're bleeding like a clown. It's your fool, bitch. So just step back. I'm mad that when I come down straight. I thought you were my face, but you played me out. Now I'm mad as hell. And I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's think. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's think. Let's roll. Lead, revolution machine. Won't want people to stay this way. On 2 days, good as any day. Y'all feel slightly resist. Raise your fist and up like this. Promises all I got. Don't cross the line. But you know it's fun. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's think. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's think. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's think. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's think. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's think. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna?
All right, welcome to the Ignorance is No Excuse podcast, coming to you live from Bayonne. We're starting off. Well, we got Jim and Sue here, and Steve's in the audience, and Bear's here with us. But we got to get to our first order of business. There was a court date today, and Maniloking. Steve, can you tell us what happened in that court date today?
Yeah, sure. So it was determined today that the resolutions that are in Lavalette, where Mikey and I got arrested for simply trying to film the public meeting, their resolutions were vague, and we won. We had everything dismissed, and it was also expunged by the judge, which I didn't even have a chance to ask for it. The judge pretty much got online, read his opinion, and that was it.
There was no evidence, prima facie, that you should have been even arrested.
Correct.
It was an illegal detainment, an illegal arrest, and they're in Lavalette's in big trouble now.
Cheap Pussy was on too, so
what were you arrested?
So they know all about it.
They're arrested for filming the council meeting in Lavalette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just walked in with their phone. Well, Mikey had a phone on his chest, and Steve had his camera. Steve gave them Steve, you gave him the law. You gave him your permission slip or whatever you had. We didn't have a permission slip. But the judge.
Well, that was one of the arguments, that we never gave our information over when we requested to record the meeting, which, as the judge correctly said, we didn't need to give our information. Just like in an Oprah request, you don't have to give your information over to record the meeting or to do a public records request.
Yeah, they said that you can register to sign up for this, but it doesn't say you must or you shall. and the judge
Right.
talked about that too. It was amazing. This morning was amazing, absolutely amazing. I got the chills watching this judge just totally talk about how bad the cops really were.
It doesn't surprise me at all, but it's easier for me to say that not having any skin in the game. So I've until now been kind of reluctant to say, come on, I don't care how bad it is in Lavalette and small, this can't go on. And the fact that they made it last as long as they felt they could or should, it's if I was the kind of person who would jump up and down, like, when somebody scores a big touchdown, I would do that now, but I'm way too stoned. So anyway, congratulations, Steve. And
Thank you.
Your tenacity, your knowledge of how to proceed and how you did, it was nothing short of amazing to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're like your own paralegal, So
I think part of the thing was, they're giving their buddy, the special prosecutor, $17,500 to lose.
Yeah, right off the front, right from the get-go.
Yeah, so now we'll do a public records request to see exactly how much money he got, because I'm sure it went higher than that.
Got paid for today. He got paid for some paperwork he had to do. Sure.
Yep, and Google beat him.
You two guys beat him without a lawyer. Without a lawyer, you guys go in there and just smack them around. It was the best thing in my life.
Yeah, there's nothing better than that, really.
No.
Well, when the law's on your side, we all have to follow the law, right? Even though the government really doesn't do that because they just do whatever they want on their time when they feel like bending the rules or ignoring the rules. Yet they hold us to a standard that they don't even hold themselves to. And remember, I signed a deprivation of civil rights charge on the sergeant for arresting us. We filed IAs, and they said, well, we can't do anything with any of this because we have to find out what the determination is by the judge. Well, guess what? Now your IA should go through, and now the 2C charge should go through, and he should be suspended.
Yes. Civil
and
rights
that charge should go through now. We should have a trial on that.
It should be clear to the residents of Lavalette. They have their own little Facebook thing, and I guess their own little publication. Is it going to make it into the publication? I'd save a copy for me if it does, because
yeah, Babs. Hey, Babs, let's hear your story, Babs.
It's got to be in the whatever that paper's called.
Let me guess, we mumbled.
Yeah.
That's something.
We've been fighting that town for years, man. And because of Mikey pushed us all to go fight them again. And Steve actually went down there first because he's like, I'm going tonight. And Mikey's like, what? I was like, Steve's like, I'm going tonight. And Mikey's like, shit, we're going too. So Mikey went down there because Steve's like a Marine at heart. He's got to go in there. Like a Marine. He's fighting for our rights now. He used to fight for our rights before. He's still fighting for our rights. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's another win.
Winning.
Well, it's a good example win, too. It's like, the right to do this and being a cannabis advocate go together, even though this wasn't about cannabis. It's the same sort of thing when I honestly didn't know until I was in 2004 at the one of the forget which office building, the congressional office building in DC, but DC police detained us by not letting us leave the building. We were just outside the building. Hold on, because I was banned from going beyond on Capitol Hill for 6 months, and it was almost a year later. So we went back to celebrate at the office of former Congressman Bob Barr, because he was no longer a congressman because of the commercial the late great Cheryl Miller made and kicked him out of Congress. So we went for a group picture because we were there for something else. And there's nobody in the hallway One guy comes walking down the hallway, and it happens to be whoever's in that office now, John Linder, I guess it was, guy that beat him. But anyway, yeah, by the time we got out, 2 wheelchairs and 2 guys pushing them were stopped by Capitol Police. We were actually on the sidewalk and heard, halt, halt. I had a wheelchair, catch up, you know. And so while we were there, I didn't know you didn't have to show ID, or I think maybe you could show ID, but they asked for our social security numbers. And my friend Gary says, you ought to be ashamed of yourself for even asking. You ought to know better. Who do I complain to? I don't have to. And he started pulling a Steve Franco. You know, he started like, well, actually, he was a little more vociferous. And I was like, really? I didn't know that. So anyway, they were all waiting for Capitol to get a reply, you know. And then we turned the tables on them, and I started interrogating them because they weren't going to answer me. But I mean, I got right in their face, you know, and I'm asking them, "Did you know that? And you let that happen?" Because, you know, I mean, I got a right for not knowing that, and you don't get my number either. But you know, it was you get to do that, and at the level you did was like really, really, you know, like impressive. You know,
Gave them the tour claim as they arrested us.
Yeah, that's funny. And you didn't have a chance. It was just sort of like a done deal. It was probably didn't take a whole lot of thought for the presiding judge to come up to that conclusion, really.
Well, it was from January 18th till now. So,
Yeah.
you know, he really didn't. He didn't hear anybody. Basically, he read his opinion, and that was it. And I have a feeling that he made sure a sound legal argument, blah, blah, blah. And this is his opinion. This is what he's worked on. And this is what you're getting. And goodbye.
The aux cable. The aux cable.
There he is, Mikey.
Mikey. Congratulations, Mikey.
Hang on.
No, we're not.
Hey, what's up? Hey, I can only be on the podcast for 5 minutes, but I wanted to join.
Tell us how you're feeling.
I'm feeling amazing. No, I feel really good. I'm glad. I feel really good, guys.
That's more like it.
It's really good. It's wild. It's wild. I'm like, you know, I don't expect other people to care about this stuff or whatever, but this is like a win for everybody. This is a win for all people. This isn't about me or Steve or the fight or any of this. This is a win for, you know, as government tries to continue with their closed door activities, as we're watching this happen in real time with the squash over bills and all this shit. It's really nice to have been vindicated from all this nonsense. And the judge's opinion couldn't have been more. It wasn't a home run. It was a grand slam. I cannot believe how on point it was. And I couldn't feel more happy. And I'm going to celebrate right now. My girl Colleen, we're going to a Jizza concert. So it's nice how all this shit works out in life. Because I'm celebrating right now, guys.
You should.
Yep, Mikey won pro se.
Pro se, baby. Pro se, baby.
You know, it's kind of funny. It's sort of like white man can't jump. And Woody Harrelson was telling Wesley Snipes because he was shooting that foul shit outdoors. Now, you better be careful because if you miss, you've been beaten not once, but twice by a doofus, blah, 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 blah. And that's what I'm feeling now. It's like you guys not only got beat, you got beat pro se, and you got beat by somebody who did his homework more than your lawyers did theirs, you know. And that's a terrible, you know, it's sort of like you have a right to say, I understand half of all lawyers graduated in the bottom half of their class. Can I ask you about that? You know, I mean, because like
Jim, don't forget Wally, the mayor. He's a lawyer. Half the people in the council are lawyers. These are lawyers. These are lawyers we went up against.
It's
And,
funny. It is satisfying. I mean, I feel satisfied as a sideline observer.
I'm fucking
It's a
thrilled.
great example. Just last night, for no reason, actually not reason. I was looking at some of the wonderful videos about people understanding their rights and police that don't. There's a ton of videos, and I don't mean the people that actually go out to demonstrate they can do this. People just videotaping a building, and the police are all of a sudden out asking the wrong questions, and it's somebody that knows, and refuses to, not going to say anything, Reminded me of you, Steve. Actually, you too, Mike. But more like, Steve was very, more like making a particular statement and letting it play out, knowing exactly what to do. So I was watching it just last night.
Hang out with Steve for a couple of nights.
Is there a video?
You get a master class on this.
Is there a video recording of the
proceedings of
yeah,
or an illegal one? Is there a legal recording or an illegal one?
I don't care.
I requested a copy of his opinion
Of course you
and
did.
the disposition of the case, so we'll have to wait for that.
They didn't allow me.
Well, Mike, you have fun tonight and celebrate.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, man. You deserve it.
Yeah, I'm celebrating, and I just want to jump on and tell you guys that I love you guys, and thank you. Lefty, the first meeting I ever went to was Lavalette back in 2018 in December, and the reason why I went to that council meeting was because I was just getting off of my opiate run, off of my addiction, and I was still I was on the tail end of my methadone, and I was still like just on the path to success. And the Ignorance No Excuse tour compelled me to go out, to take part, stay active. And the most amazing thing is that the first meeting I ever went to was Lavalette. So it's kind of wild the way things turn out or whatever, but that's the first meeting I went to, and I want to say thank you, Lefty, for doing that. Ignorance is no excuse.
Thank you, Mikey, for pushing us to go back to Lavalette. I didn't want to go back there to that town.
I know.
I was happy never going back there. But Mikey
I know.
You got to go back. And I said, Mikey, if you want to go, I support you 100%, and I'm going with you. And Mikey, thank you for doing this because.
Yeah. No, and I want to say, you're welcome, Lefty, but thank you. Thank you for doing the Ignorance No Excuse tour. Thank you so much. That compelled me to get out and fight against, the nonsense. And I look at myself now, where things are at, and I love myself. I'm motherfucking amazing, and I love it. And you guys are amazing too, and I feel super happy, super proud, and I just want to say thank you, Lefty, and thank you, Steve, and you guys have a good night, all right?
You too, bro. Have fun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, yes. Yes. So amazing. So amazing. Oh, Steve's back. Sorry, Steve. I didn't see you.
Yep.
Man, so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, glorious win, and they could shove the resolution up their ass.
Yeah.
We all got to follow the law, and that's exactly what we did. And they the last time we went to court with the motion to dismiss it, the prosecutor kept on talking about all these other things that didn't even apply. We didn't give our names. Well, you don't need our names. Again with the names. We went to the Senate the other day. We didn't have to give our addresses out. Why do they need our address so bad? It's been the third time now I've had cops sent to my house. The last time was October 13th with the state troopers coming to my house.
My name's Pal, but you can call me Buddy.
Yeah, I mean they're just
I just want to
it's
know
all about intimidation.
if that happens. There you go. You got an echo.
Yeah, there's an echo. I think Steve has the echo.
I have the echo.
Can you
Is it
try
better now?
joining back in? Hold on.
Hold on.
No, it might be.
That's
Yeah,
good.
with Steve.
It's
I'm
gone.
hearing myself when Steve is unmuted.
You hear me now?
I can hear you, but I'm hearing an echo.
Are you getting an echo?
Can you log back in?
Yeah, my voice is
Logging
echoing.
back in.
Yours is, but Steve's
I can hear an echo also.
Okay, we got 3 echoes against 1.
And when I
One
mute
no echo.
Steve, and then when I mute Steve, it goes away. See, now it's gone.
Okay.
So yeah, Steve, your phone. It's your phone. Just try restarting. Come back in. Come back in. There you go. Something's going on there. Technology, man. This is what we deal with. Technology and live. This is live, and I like live.
I had to do a whole interview on a phone like that one time, and it was almost impossible because there was always my own voice in my head or that person's if they weren't done talking yet. And, you know, as it is, if it's about cannabis and it's known that you're a cannabis consumer, whether it be patient or as an adult, you know, you can't explain that to anybody watching. And it was something where there's a lot of people watching. And, you know, I think it came out okay, but I must have looked anguished, like I didn't understand English or something the way I was talking, you know. So, yeah, this is just such great news. It's a great way to start out the evening gathering.
Lavalette. I can't wait to go back to Lavalette now and let the taxpayers know what exactly they're paying for. They had to pay $17,500 just to retain the special prosecutor. Now I'm sure he has some more charges.
You know, it'd be nice. I mean, theoretically, to go back and say, I'd like to know beforehand, are the wheelchair mats going to be rolled out next year or not? Because that's what started the whole thing.
I hear not.
Wheelchair mats. That's why Brian
said no.
Why he, you know, but after all that, him going and with the wheelchair mats ended up circling back, inadvertently costing them money.
Yeah, you should have put in wheelchair mats.
Yeah, it would have been cheaper.
It would have been cheaper. You just put in a wheelchair mat.
You know,
that's what we're there to talk about, wheelchair mats.
But you could go back in a day early, register to have your seat there right wherever they like in. I wouldn't suggest doing it. It's just that, I don't know. Seems like there should be a better "I told you so," and that will come later down the road, I assume, Steve. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. By way of a tort notice or whatever you call it. You know.
I gave him the tort claim as I got arrested. So next we just get the lawyers, and we already have the lawyers lined up. And then from there we're going to sue, or maybe even just send a demand letter.
Yeah. So do they know of the outcome today? Then
well, the chief was there, so he knows.
The chief was on
the call. He ran back to daddy and told his brother, "You big dummy! Now you're getting us. We're going to lose a lot of money."
But the lawyers for a comeback on them. In other words, if you are now going to sue for any one of a number of things you could sue them for, do you have a lawyer for that?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I got the actually. I've been in contact with the original lawyers from Taurus, from the Supreme Court case that established that common law right to record a public meeting.
Really? Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do they know about how well it's worked out for you yet?
Not yet. I got to reach out to him probably tomorrow.
I bet they'll be happy.
Oh yeah, he said, you know, if you get it dismissed, reach out to us, then we'll take the case. He said, you know, it seems like your civil rights were violated, and obviously they were, since they dismissed it and expunged it.
Yeah. It'd be nice. Maybe I could just let the New Jersey ACLU know it worked out well, and it's good that their help wasn't needed when it wasn't forthcoming.
Well, I did use their amicus brief in the Taurus case to write my motion.
Yeah.
Now we have another case coming up on the 28th. I don't know if you guys know what's going on in Spotswood, but there's a big mess with the mayor. The mayor's suing, and the cops are suing, and everybody's suing each other over here. So right now we're trying to get body camera video. There's supposedly 9 videos, and the mayor's being a racist and trying to kick a homeless guy out of the public building, and we've been trying to get these videos now for about a year. And the 28th, the judge is going to rule whether or not we'll be able to get these videos.
And this is again in Lavalette?
No, this is in Spotswood now.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, type in Spotswood mayor, and you guys will be able to see all the drama as the world turns over here.
I just want to say hi right now to Joe. Cup of Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Cup of Joe. And
Hello.
Sorry, I apologize. I thought I was supposed to be coming in at 5 o'clock my time, and I was giving somebody a tour of my gardens, and then all of a sudden Sue calls and was like, "Ah, shoot!" I was off kilter a little bit, but here we are.
Awesome. Yeah, we were just talking about Lavalette, how they had to dismiss the charges against our friends here for filming a public meeting in Lavalette. They were actually charged, and they were dismissed today. So now we get to sue the police.
There you go. It's what we need to spend our time doing, right? Unfortunately, we do. If we don't do it, it doesn't get done.
Chris, do you have a few minutes with us, or do you have to run? Because I want to hear you about what happened with you with the vice president too. I mean, because we have a couple of guests on tonight. So.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Chris, you're all over articles and newspapers, and you're famous. You're famous. I am so honored to be here with you.
It was definitely an interesting week, and I'm trying to do my best cannabis consumer activist transparency and give as many interviews while smoking a joint as possible. So I have my joint right here, and now you can ask me questions. So if you did see some of the articles, you saw like I had this incredible experience, and it was a lot of it was unexpected. What didn't happen at the White House too, and what was really moving to me is I actually started my day at the U.S. Pardon Attorney's office. So a lot of people were like, dude, did you bring weed in the White House? And I had a joint in my pocket, and I clowned around with it on CBS. The interview isn't out yet, but the CBS White House correspondent, I went out to Lafayette Park before I went in the White House. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I clowned around with the joint. We talked about it and stuff and had fun. And I had it in my pocket, and I walked up to the Department of Justice to go to the pardon attorneys and meet the other people who I was pardoned with. And the security at the Department of Justice is like, let me say, federal prison. Yeah, it's pretty much like a federal prison. I mean, there were dogs and like sliders and like dudes with serious stuff. And I was like, man.
Yeah, Chris, we lost you. Check your mic. Your mic is clipping. I think it's not plugged in all the way. It's kind of clipping. Yeah. Now you're muted. Hold on. Let me unmute you here. There you go. Your mic is either hitting you.
Is this better? Can you hear me?
Oh, I think that's better.
Is this better?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
I'll have to move. I'm like a gestural talker, so I'm gonna try to be real still. The Department of Justice at the pardon attorney, that was really interesting and moving to me. So I was saying that I wanted to bring a joint to the White House, and I had one in my pocket, but I went to the Department of Justice where I started my day to meet the other people who were pardoned, and the security there was very much like a federal prison. And I stood there with my joint, and I was like, So I don't think that the White House would have tossed me for the joint, but the Department of Justice seemed like maybe a different story. So I was like, all right, what am I going to do here? Because I had to go from the DOJ to the White House. So I took the joint out. I had clowned around on CBS with it, and I smoked it right there in front of the Department of Justice. And I really smelled like weed going into the DOJ. And they let me in, and they badged me up.
There? It's not legal though, right?
It's it is actually marijuana is legal in the District of Columbia. You can grow it yourself. They had a campaign in 2014 where they have ballot initiatives in DC, so they legalized marijuana in 2014. Because the district's budget is controlled by Congress, they've never allowed them to open a retail sales program. So that's the difference there. But you've been able to possess and grow marijuana in DC for 10 years.
Oh,
And
okay.
but except on federal land, it's if you're on federal property. And I didn't want to test the Department of Justice, and I really wanted to meet those other people, so I went ahead and smoked the joint and just went inside. And they can't arrest you for smelling like weed. That's the good part. So and I broke my leg about a year and a half ago, and I definitely needed a few joints before I started my day. So I went into the DOJ, and I had this unexpectedly moving experience. The Office of the Pardon Attorney is the people who handle federal clemency. They work on this every day. And in the previous administration, let's not mention their name, the Voldemort administration, that office was down to just 9 employees. So if you can imagine, only 9 people were trying to handle all the federal clemency requests. It was rough. Now they're up to 40 people. And when President Biden issued the broad marijuana pardons, these are the people that had to figure out how to get them out the door and put up a website and innovate. So not only that, in their office, and I put this up on Instagram, the current pardon attorney is a defender, and she's a really interesting and amazing person in her own right. But they have, when I went in, the wall had these 8x8 sketches of inmates done by another inmate in a Pennsylvania prison, and there were hundreds of them on the wall. And it was so striking, but it really set the tone for the work that they do there. And I went to school on federal clemency, let me tell you. They also had us meet with all the people in the office who worked on the program, and they were so happy to meet with us. And I just cannot tell you the experience there was really moving. So then I went to the White House, and I met, and they stage you in, you go through security, and then we met the other people. There were other people at the table. Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Fat Joe, a rapper who has like millions of Instagram followers. I have hundreds. So, and you saw the pics, Lefty. My real job was to make Fat Joe look skinny. I definitely have like 50 pounds on that dude right now, and I need to get on his diet plan. Yeah. And then, also at the table with us were 2 advisors to President Biden. These are top presidential advisors. And also Cynthia Roseberry from ACLU. She was sitting right across from me. And so we're in the Roosevelt room, which is a room that President Nixon built. And it has, that symbolism was right there. Like, they did that for a reason. And there are portraits of Franklin Roosevelt and Teddy Roosevelt, and on the walls, these big famous pieces of art. And right across from me is Cynthia Roseberry, and she's from the ACLU, and we're sitting at this table. And right behind her is the famous portrait of Franklin Roosevelt during World War II, sitting at his desk. And then Vice President Harris raises her hands above her head and says, "I'm just going to say it. We need to legalize marijuana." And I'm just like, check that off the list. And right underneath the giant portrait of Teddy on his horse. That was amazing. And I have to tell you guys, one of the sort of unexpected moments for me, for sure, was she stopped the meeting for a moment and thanked me for my activism and my advocacy. And Lefty, you know what it's like when Commissioner Barker does that. And it started out a little like that, but when the vice president says it to you in the Roosevelt room, it lands a little different. And I have to say, it's something that I was brought in for. They wanted to say that to me because that's to all of you, okay? Like Jim, Lefty, we've been in this for a long ass time, guys, and honestly, they brought one of us in there to say thanks, not to say thanks to me, but to say thanks to all of us, okay? Because it's hard to bring us all into the White House at once. And that's the sense I got from that meeting. So let me extend that to you and say to all of you, You know, like we survived prohibition. The best thing about marijuana isn't anything to do with the plant. It's the people who are around it. And, you know, we really did some amazing stuff together along the way. But what I found in Washington, D.C. is we have a really like a big opportunity right now, and it's our game to lose. I was at the White House and I saw the engagement that they want to put up. Vice President Harris went down a list of like all the stuff that we would like to hear. She addressed her drug war prosecutor record head on. She put that into context of legalizing marijuana. She used to say legalize marijuana when she was California senator and when she was running for president. So it's not a new position for her. But saying it in the White House, first vice president sitting, you know, in the Roosevelt room, it was real. The other thing I was surprised by is that they were talking about marijuana more in the short term, and there was a lot of talk in that room that wasn't about marijuana. It was about dismantling the whole drug war, and I did not expect them to talk about sentencing disparities for other drugs, but they certainly did, and I didn't expect as wide a discussion as I heard. And that made me feel real good because they see marijuana as like the thing that can be done in the short term. And then the longer term, the next 4 years, now we dismantle all of Nixon's drug war and we deal with that. So I was very pleased. Vice President Harris, you know, again, took on her own record as a prosecutor, put pressure on the DEA, called the scheduling of marijuana absurd. Like, wow, that's what we say. So I'm okay with that. It's absurd. Everybody's asking me, does she know the nuanced differences of scheduling? And I'm like, when she was a U.S. senator, she sponsored the MORE Act. She knows what descheduling is. I also think that when it comes to Schedule 3, right now the DEA is signaling a defense of Schedule 1. So no matter what the DEA comes back on, like if the DEA comes back, there's going to be no good answers, okay? The DEA is going to either defend Schedule 1, totally not cool, say Schedule 3, also equally is almost not cool, or they're just going to run out the clock, which is what they've done in the past, and not say anything, and that's going to super suck, right? So my strategy at this point is that the White House has the power to issue one more letter to HHS, and it can be worded as strongly as a recommendation about descheduling, and that is a different review than what we've experienced now. So I think that the White House, has set themselves up for strategic action, but let's not discount Congress either. Back in 2015, Bernie Sanders had a bill which would just deschedule cannabis. And if there was a movement on that in a quick moment in Congress, we could be in a race between the White House and Congress for who deschedules first. Now, we all know that's the quid pro quo with the American public for the election. Okay, that's the timeline we're on. And as a grassroots activist, I know that we get more in an election year than any other year. And this is the year with the highest stakes in an election. So grassroots activists everywhere, I hope you hear me. This is the year where you should ask for the most because the stakes
Chris,
are the
I have
highest.
a question for you. I have a question. Before I ask you, though, do me a favor. Fix your collar on your microphone. Your collar is hitting your microphone on your,
Oh, my God. Jesus.
Yeah, it's hitting your, yeah. Just
is that what it is? It's my collar.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys. That's why the TV guys don't like stuff like this. There we go.
There you go. That's better. So when we talk about this, the move that they're going to make, is this going to be a move that they make after the election, before the election? When do you think this is going to happen?
I don't think they're going to get the. I think the quid pro quo for everybody lefty is that that the action precedes the election, or else the election doesn't get delivered. In New Jersey during the last presidential election, there were 3 million people who went to the polls and voted to legalize retail cannabis. Now there's nothing there for us to vote on except for a couple of candidates. So those candidates definitely want our votes. And as a base, cannabis voters are interesting. We're not one party, but we do show up and we're pretty darn motivated. So this year, usually in the last few presidential cycles, there have been multiple state ballot initiatives that have brought voters to the polls. This year, I think it's only Florida has something up. And so all these cannabis voters have already engaged with politics. They've gone and voted. We're running out of states with ballot initiative processes. But the voters are still there. That's my point. And does the Biden administration want to attract them with action? Yeah. This is the first presidential administration to do, let's point this out, folks. This is the first presidential administration to do anything, let alone invite us in for a discussion. They've done pardons. They started a scheduling review. We've asked every president since Nixon to do the same thing. We thought Carter might do it. We hoped Obama might do it. I am absolutely still a super fan of President Obama, but he didn't. What we have now is President Biden and Vice President Harris, two people with undeniable histories in the drug war themselves. So if they're willing to make peace right now, this could be a peace that really sticks. And also, I want to say, I got to say, the clemency aspect of this trip really affected me. And the concept of clemency is that one wrong thing doesn't define your whole life. And man, did it feel like maybe we needed to, we're asking for so much clemency out of the president and vice president. And I think that we need to recognize that they're turning around their own history too as drug warriors, and they are looking for a way out and to do something different. Do you have any other questions about what happened in the room?
Did they specifically address their records, like Joe Biden's record in the Senate and her record as a prosecutor?
Her job was to address her own record, not the president's. And yes, absolutely. On camera, with the press, she addressed her record as a prosecutor. And when the doors closed, that kept on going. Look, the prosecutor, the job that she held is an elected position, the San Francisco district attorney. So it's a political position that is also a prosecutor. Not all prosecutors are political positions. Some are appointed. So in her case, she was elected. And, when it comes to her own record, she addressed it head on. She talked about being a prosecutor in the drug war era. She talked about what she saw. She talked about some reform programs and clemency programs she put into place. That's what politicians do. But on the issues, I think that what's interesting, again, is that this is the context that we've wanted to hear Vice President Harris talk about. We wanted to hear her address that record head on. And I saw it in person. And she was not shy of any of the topics, let me put it that way. And as a person, she really knows how to run a meeting, and I was quite impressed with her. I used to work for a Learjet charter company, and my boss was a Mexican woman who was a second-generation jet pilot. And Vice President Harris reminded me of my boss, Sandra, very, very serious, but also endearingly nerdy. And she knows how to run a meeting. So I appreciated being there. It was definitely cool to be at the table.
Joe, do you have anything to say? Come on, you're in California. You have any questions?
Questions. I try not to. I'm walking into a new room, and I'm it's funny.
You're here. Ask a question. You're welcome to ask a question.
It's really cool because it just shows what a big world it is, and you think it's a small world because I've been an activist for most of my life, and our paths haven't crossed until now, really. And I think to myself, I wonder how many other people are doing what we've been doing this whole time in our own way, and our paths haven't crossed. So this is really fantastic, and I'm just tickled to hear that you were in there doing what you were doing, because I had no idea, and that makes me happy.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you. It's funny. I tried to convey that. I was like, our community of cannabis consumers, we're like the Fremen in Dune. You can't count us, but we're out here. We're this force out in the desert. And when it really matters, we show up at the election polls. That we're like the election power, you know, green eyes instead of blue. So that's what I think. But yeah, I mean, our community has been kept down by prohibition. We kept each other, you know, we kept underground because that's what we had to do. So now there's a Woody Harrelson skit on Saturday Night Live from like 4 years ago. And it was when they decriminalized in New York, and like everybody comes out of their basement with their bongs, and they're like looking around their step, and they see that everybody's coming out of their basement with their bongs. I feel like this is, you know, America's going to have that moment. Okay. I've also said that I hope one day we figure out a way to make everybody's eyeballs, like the white parts, turn bright neon green for 24 hours on 420 every year if they ever smoked marijuana ever in their life. And then everybody would know. Everybody would know. Be like, oh no, Joe doesn't want to go outside today because he's got the green eye, you know? So that would be funny. But
I have a question. I have a question for you, and
yeah.
especially because of you know, you were down in DC, you know, and right now you're very ramped up about all of this, and that's awesome. I think you did an awesome job. The media covered you really well. They did. Anything I came across was awesome. It was really good. It was really nice to see. But the question I have for you, or for anybody in the group here, is what are your thoughts about the third party candidate? You know, you've got Robert Kennedy Jr., who's out.
Oh, I thought you meant Cornel West.
No. I'm talking RFK, and the younger people are going to. I think they are going to kind of carry this whole election. Now they're very, very taken in by a third party because they don't like Biden. Now, I'm just telling you what I hear because I have grandkids that age. You know, I have grandkids that can vote, and they're all potheads, and you know, they're all for whatever, you know, but they don't like what they see. So you know, they're just like we were when we were younger, you know, where we wanted to see somebody different, you know, and even though he may seem a little bit twisted, you know, he's a smart guy. So he's got the ear of the youth. So what do you think about that? What do you think we could do with that? I mean, because I just asked a lawyer friend of mine, I said, you know, can we get our hands on, you know, the lists of, you know, who's registered into what party, because that's who we're going to have to go after. We're going to have to, you know, we're going to have to do some talking to people, you know, and not just in the state of New Jersey, you know, all over.
Okay.
And before you answer, check your mic, please.
Let me see if I can
just check your collar. Just your collar.
All right. It's just my collar. Is that
that's
better?
it? Yeah, your collar's hitting it.
Oh my God, this is the wrong sweatshirt. Let me start with the youth vote. I work with Students for Sensible Drug Policy. We've got this Unity Day coming up in April. I've been working with a lot of student groups. I give lectures at Drexel, Stockton, Temple, Rutgers, all the time. I'm speaking before these young people. I hear you. Is there some interest in some third-party candidates? Yeah. There's a lot of interest in Cornel West, like I said, too. What worries me more is the Trump-interested urban voter, okay? That's what I'm worried about. Because previous to the last election on our issue, Trump said the word marijuana once during a campaign stop and managed to avoid saying that word ever since. We're talking like years now.
Mm-hmm.
In the White House, everybody assured me leading up to the last election that he was going to legalize marijuana, and the guy did nothing. He was friends with Chris Christie, Jeff Sessions, and every prohibitionist who hates weed. Mm-hmm. So I knew it was never going to happen. When it comes to the youth vote, again, in speaking with the kids out there, I see a lot of undecideds more than anything. They want to do something, but they don't like their choices. They don't like any of their choices, honestly. And I have to say that what I tell them is that I voted for President Biden, Vice President Harris. And it's been one of the better votes I've had in my career of voting because they've done more on federal marijuana policy than any other president in history. So if they intend to keep that up, for me, that is an important thing for me right now. I think that national legalization is something that would inspire a lot of people to go to the polls. And I think that's what's up on the block right now. There is a quid pro quo with the American public. RFK and Cornel West and Donald Trump have not actually done anything on marijuana. President Biden and Vice President Harris have. They can do a lot. I was there for them to do a victory lap on their clemency efforts so far and to help them expand that. So, whereas in the previous election, Democrats kept marijuana like Hillary Clinton was keeping marijuana at arm's length. That is not happening. Vice President Harris is saying legalize marijuana in the Roosevelt Room. That is a big, big, big embrace of the issue. Right now, the president and vice president are camped out on the issue of marijuana. They can claim direct action on the topic. All the other people who are running can only claim what they might do. So I think that they're well positioned for the election. I think that the youth vote went heavily for marijuana in New Jersey, and it goes heavily for marijuana when it's on the ballot. So the candidate that's camped out on that issue is the candidate that's going to most inspire that vote at the last minute, which is when they decide to. So your grandkids don't decide their election 3 weeks out. They decide it 3 days out, 3 hours out, maybe when they walk in the room. So youth voters are a lot more organic in their voting. They do decide more last minute than people our age. We decide who we're going to vote for a year out. But kids do leave their options open. But when it comes to the polls and when it comes to the moment of pulling that ballot, there's a lot of things that come to mind. And I think in this election, marijuana might be one of them.
Well, as well positioned as President Biden and Vice President Harris, as well positioned as they are, they can be so much better positioned leading up to the election, because it'll become more believable with each step that they take for real. And it wouldn't kill them to say we're looking for legalization, but we're going to do this first, whatever. Is somebody going to not vote for them if they said that? I mean, I wouldn't expect them to have it legal before the election. But they, and what went on last week is such a great opening act for more to come. And I would expect that, and I would expect they already have some sort of plan, but it should be, they can combine it with campaigning and that it's done coordinated to maximize the effect for the campaign. I would expect no less, and if they're not doing that, they're not as smart as I think they are.
Jim, I agree, but people keep asking me are they serious or is it a ploy for votes? And I'm like, they are serious and they want to win the election. And,
sure. Yeah.
So these things are invariably tied together. So, but I'm not sure if again, what do we consider legalization is getting marijuana out of the CSA. So is it possible before the election? It may be, actually. Do they need to do it? There needs to be an action that seals the deal and language that seals the deal with the American public. I'm urging those actions. The White House is right there. But again, what was surprising me is that they wanted to pivot off of legalizing marijuana in the short term and do more, a lot more in the long term. Guys, I have to say too, the White House there are a lot of really cool people who work there, and it has a good positive vibe. I mean, gosh, they have to deal with so much stuff in the world every day. They're busy people. And at that level of politics, I want to convey to you that it is so much different than Trenton. Okay, that when back here at the state level, like, because I went to Congress too the day before. I didn't just go to the White House. I spent 2 days down there, and everything about going to Congress is such a different vibe, and it's so refreshing. You come back here to the state level, and it's just, oh man, it's rough. But I have to tell you guys again. There is a good vibe around the White House right now, and that is not something I was expecting either, and I was pleasantly surprised by. There's a lot of women who run all of the departments there. The Biden administration has really elevated women into positions of power, where in the past that wasn't really the case. So they're making good on a generational promise here that, looking at it, it's awesome to see. It really is really great. It does make you feel a little bit better that that we are getting closer to some national resolution here, because at the state level things have really sucked, and a lot of it has to do with this federal versus state conflict and that age-old stuff. But even Senator Scutari is like, oh, federal policy this, federal policy that. Look, I'm going to reach out to Senator Scutari and see if he wants an update from inside the White House. I'm happy to answer any of his questions and discuss federal policy with him and try and open a door with him in any way if he wants to talk. But we'll see how serious people are now that I've gone up there and really got a sense of things, how serious they are to really get a view of what's going on in D.C. Do you guys want to hear what happened on my day in Congress?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
can I
guys,
ask you one question first?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You can ask
Okay.
more than one. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate in this one.
Devil's advocate.
So I am a founder of the network, and we have about 5,000 members. Okay, and then we're cannabis nurses, and you probably know the history of us. Been around a long time, and we've worked with a lot of lawyers, and I have worked personally with a lot of lawyers myself too. And what I'm hearing right now is kind of like how I could be when I am in that kind of environment. You kind of like getting like what they call in the recovery area, you're in that pink cloud, you're in that pink bubble. Now, what's come up is that psychedelics are being pushed forward. All right. Now, you know that. I don't have to tell you that.
So we're in a pink bubble of psychedelics. I'm with you, Sue.
Okay. So, so out of the pink bubble, this is what happens. Psychedelics will go to the pharmaceutical companies because psychiatrists are going to run the whole show. There is nothing in anything that we've seen from any of the states that, such as Colorado, that have any wording for a nurse to be involved in anything. So that's where it's going to stay. It's going to sit with the pharmaceutical companies directly to the psychiatrists. And we know what happened when they did that with the SSRIs and what have you. All right. So now it's kind of like, even though you're doing what you're doing and we're all trying to do what we're doing, cannabis kind of went to the back of the line. And what's in front of the line? Psilocybin, not mescaline really.
Ketamine.
But ketamine. Well, ketamine is legal. Ketamine's an anesthetic, so that's legal anyway. And LSD. I mean, all the chemicals. Okay, now
Look,
I am in a psychedelic doula certification course. And I had a really interesting conversation with the people in there, because they're very into what they're doing, but everything is being done underground. Well, that's all well and good. And they're very happy that there's still a black market that's alive, but they don't understand the flip side. I think that being over here where we are, we've seen what happens when the black market splits up, and I don't think if LSD was legal that it was going to save us from an opioid epidemic. I really don't believe that was going to happen. So where are we now, really? Where are we in the line?
Where are psychedelics in the line?
Seems like they're up there as number one. That's what everybody's talking about.
Okay, so this is a bit of a tangent, but I'm happy to address it for a second. No one addressed psychedelics at the meeting. However, Rick Doblin, who is the longtime head of the Multidisciplinary Institute of Psychedelic Studies, I intend to connect him with as many people as I can. The White House talked about broader drug policy reform. They made no mention of psychedelics. They were talking about sentencing disparities on hard drugs and things like that. I agree with you. I've done some PR work in the psychedelic space. I see the corporatization that's definitely happening there. And Sue, what's interesting is compared to cannabis, psychedelics like mescaline and psilocybin and the natural derivatives, those are single chemicals. They're not entourage chemicals like cannabis. So cannabis, in its nature of having all these hundreds of cannabinoids, really avoids the easy kind of corporatization that can happen with a single chemical like mescaline or psilocybin or LSD. I don't disagree that there are moves being made in that regard. I think it's debatable whether LSD might have helped with the opioid epidemic, because if everybody who needed it could get a few drops every few hours, that might have been really cool to watch. But I think, on the other hand, I think that the lack of psychedelics as part of American therapy, and the idea that you need to sit there, one of the things that was strange to me in Oregon was that for the psilocybin therapy, or even the ketamine therapy, you essentially have, like you said, you have to sit there with a psychiatrist and go through it. To me, let me just tell you, taking high doses of ketamine and laying on a bed in a clinical setting and getting analyzed by a psychologist is pretty much like purgatory and would traumatize the living hell out of me. I can't imagine the kind of people who do that for fun. But on the other hand, I've met veterans and stuff who say it really works for them. I'm like, man,
they're doing it.
I get it. No, look, I mean, some people, the broad breadth of humanity, some people feel like an alien abduction on ketamine is a therapeutic experience. More power to them, okay? But I just want to have fun with it at home. And again, like, that's the thing about the whole scheduling issue. And I'd like to sort of segue into that, which is funny. So back to Congress. I went to Congress last Thursday before the White House, a week ago today. So a lot of us are hearing some stuff about Schedule 3, 280E, stuff like that. I found the echo chamber where all that comes from. They were meeting in a room in Congress at the Rayburn Building. It was called the Cannabis Caucus. And I walked in there, and it's all the members of Congress or staffers who are supposed to be working on all this stuff. And they were talking about all this stuff. And I was like, OMG, this is where it all comes from. And so I was like, look, guys, let's talk about descheduling. And they're like, Schedule 3, Chris, Schedule 3. I'm like, no, listen. This is my ketamine smoothie, and I'm sprinkling some sun-grown craft codeine on top in my anabolic steroid cafe, thinking about all of the awesome 280E tax breaks that Schedule 3 over-the-counter drugs have every day. But that doesn't exist. So I started to see some, like, wheels turning and understanding. I also said to some of them, look, if we don't have descheduled cannabis by the end of 2024, I'm willing to go back and talk about Schedule 3. But in New Jersey, voters are way past that. We legalized marijuana. We didn't put it next to ketamine in New Jersey and ask you to have a prescription for it. So you're not even talking the language of millions of voters who've already gone to the polls and voted to legalize, and who you want to come out again. So for the first time in history, of a White House that's willing to work and engage on this policy and is doing all the right things. And Congress is asleep at the wheel. stuck on incremental reform when we could be winning really, really big leaps forward. So our job now, by the way, I visited our members of Congress who are awesome. Cory Booker, Andy Kim, Bonnie Watson Coleman. The staffers at their offices know what's up. Their bosses know what's up. They sponsor the MORE Act. They sponsor all the good stuff. So our Jersey delegation is strong. And I'm glad of that because it was cool to have some friends on the Hill last week after seeing the Cannabis Caucus, which seemed a little bit stale. So our guys are working, our gals are working. I mean, it is a strange day in Washington, D.C. when the White House is saying legalize marijuana and Congress is like, meh. We really need to take this opportunity. When members of Congress start really playing ball here, I do think that we could have a plan for national legalization that really starts up with action this year before the election. Look, I would love to see cannabis descheduled in 2024 and us working on the national cannabis policy in 2025. That's what I think that America deserves, and that's what I'm here to work on. I mean, pink clouds and all that stuff, and definitely riding a wave, but I would say that right now is the best opportunity for federal reform I've seen in 25 years of working on this issue. And I'm not going to waste it.
Did you see the video of Rowan in the facility? Rowan is a medical cannabis patient. She has glaucoma, and she's in a federally funded facility. They will not let her use her glaucoma medicine, so she's losing eyesight that she'll never get back.
Rowan Capers.
Yes.
Okay.
I put a video out. You should watch the video. It's a short video of her experience in the hospital and how she's losing her sight, how they won't let her out to use her medicine. Even though there's a smoking area, you can smoke tobacco. She can't use her medical cannabis out there. They won't let her go off the property. And if they find it on her, they're going to confiscate it from her. And this is a federal issue.
She's in Princeton, right?
Princeton Acute Care, Carnegie Acute Care in Princeton.
Okay.
That's super silly. In Pennsylvania, the hospital networks treat it completely different right now. I don't know why our hospital networks have such a hang-up. New Jersey is really a unique place for this right now, a uniquely annoying place. And I'm not sure what to do next. Just so you guys know, I have one of my first meetings with some CRC staff next week. I kind of begged and pleaded for this one. And there's no restrictions on me, I'm talking about it or talking about when I come out of it, per se. I'm going in there to talk about prices and ask them how they're tracking prices. They put out these averages, and I want them to see how consumers are actually buying. I want them to understand what gouging actually looks like between the couple states. And then they've pledged public engagement. I don't know if you remember that, but in their earlier meeting in February, they said that they wanted to have this public engagement plan. And they're going to have these series of meetings on the social equity excise funds. I hope you can take a look at those. But if there's anything, what do you think to my idea of engagement? I would like to see patient and consumer advisory committees. I think Kristen has a good idea to have a science committee. That's the kind of engagement I'd like to see. What would you guys like to see?
I like the idea of a committee, science committee, patient committee. I like that. What do you think, Joe?
I think anytime we can get legitimate experience in the conversation, we benefit. I think, we're gaining on this, obviously, but we're leaving behind so much in the details and the leftovers, and there's people still getting locked up, losing their freedom and their property. And I come from California, where everybody thinks everything's groovy, and I watch people every day get locked up. And it's so far from being fixed, in a place where it all got started. And I think to myself, the influences over the policy have been so one-sided in California and in many of the states where, you know, the biggest footholds have happened, it's still not helping the regular everyday consumer, the people that I advocate for the most. I don't give a damn about the big corporations and their big dispensaries. I want the regular guy to have access no matter what. And regardless of what the scheduling is or the policy is, when it comes down to it, what's keeping us from getting locked up? And sometimes it's policy. I mean, obviously it always boils down to policy. Obviously we have to get these laws changed, but between where we are and where we're headed, I think we've lost a huge amount of the support we had when things were worse off. Here in California, it's hard to get people to advocate anymore because everybody thinks everything's done. And you guys are actually my biggest hope. That's why I'm working with you right now, because you're trying. And, you know, in California, people are positioning themselves for the big move. And, you know, I've watched people come and go for the last 25 years. And, you know, I just think that right now, the more we can have these conversations and bring people that have a valid experience, regardless of a scientific, agricultural, political, just so long that it's legitimate and it's not, you know, advocates have been so long in the fringe that now we're starting to be considered viable voices. We have nurses and we have people that have regular jobs and regular, you'll talk to me about this, but you won't talk to me about that. All of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. And you're not just the crazy guy with the sign going, hey man, free the weed. And I think that right now, like Chris was saying, this is the time we have. We need to do this right now. I mean, I have been frustrated for the last 5 years because previous to that, it was easy for me to get support. You know, I was in courtrooms all over the country and rallying support for people that were being prosecuted, and it was no problem. And now today it's like pulling teeth to get anybody to even care enough to jump in the trenches, except for, you know, now we have a little bit more of a skilled voice. So I'm pivoting right now in my strategy, and I'm listening to you guys that are out there, you know, in a different set of trenches than I come from, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Hey guys, listen to this. Jake just joined us. Ahead. Jake's got a story he told me before. Tell us that story, Jake, real quick, about what you saw or heard today, because that was crazy.
Yes, I apologize that I don't have my camera on at the moment. I am most certainly not driving home with Indian food after a very long day. But so twice this week, people that I know personally went to dispensaries, recreational only dispensaries, and they presented their medical IDs, which we all know is a valid government issued ID. And at both of these dispensaries, they were turned away. They were told that they could not enter, that a medical cannabis ID card is not a valid ID to get into a cannabis facility.
Really?
I kid you not. Just today, it happened.
Where is this happening? You know, I'm in North Jersey. I'm in Northeast Jersey. That doesn't happen. Nobody asks us for ID if we go into a dispensary. Nothing. You just go in and you get what you want, you get what you need, and you pay the man and you leave. So I'm not, you know, I'm not experiencing that, and I'm not hearing that from anybody, you know, in my immediate circle. It just doesn't happen. And there's a smoke shop, you know, on every corner here.
Wow. More hoops for patients to jump through, I guess.
Yes, I'd love to know where that's happening.
Yeah. I don't know if I could say which places they are, just due to the nature of my job and the miscellaneous laws I have to follow. But
how about towns? Can you name towns?
Oh yeah, I could absolutely name towns. Roselle Park and Delran. And both of these incidents occurred just this week. And we've had, a couple
I'm sorry,
people.
what was the one after Roselle Park?
Delran down in Southwest Jersey.
Okay. Delran. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just seems silly to me. It's a government issue ID. I mean, we did come across this issue, me and a friend at another dispensary, and we asked if we could speak to the manager, and the manager came out, explained to us that they didn't have any guidance from anybody on what a medical ID, I guess, is. But we came, together to the conclusion that, yes, a medical ID is a valid form of ID, of course, to get into a recreational adult use only dispensary. But some of these places, I guess they just don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the hiccup is. But yeah, another hoop for patients to go through. What if you don't have a valid ID? What if you don't have, a driver's license or any other form of state issued ID? What if you only have your medical card?
But
yeah, and the weird part is like, how does that happen in just certain areas of Jersey and not in other areas? And,
well, I still
I don't get
understand. I don't understand. They're adults, but they're not allowed in because their ID identified them as patients, and this is an adult recreational, I'll continue to call it, facility, not for patients. Does that mean they were discriminated against for being patients? But they're adults.
Yes, they are.
That doesn't make them non-adults, and this is for adults. To say, and that's a legitimate ID. I went to the state house and had to show ID last week, and I thought, hey, I never used this for my ID. Here you go, and I showed him my card, that the state of New Jersey issued me, and that dispensary is beholden to the state of New Jersey, and that is valid ID. So that's very confusing, to be denied to buy cannabis in a dispensary that is for adults only, not patients.
They must not be unionized.
Oh, man. I don't even know if it's anything about that. It's just, I guess the CRC is going to have to put out some sort of guidance to these recreational dispensaries that, like, medical cannabis card is a legitimate form of ID.
Well, they should know which to somehow be made to understand what you're saying happened, that there is two dispensaries that would not serve, except they wouldn't sell cannabis to people who only had ID as patients, which of course would identify how old they are. They're adults. I don't know. I don't understand that.
It's an issue that shouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't be allowed to be an issue. Chris, you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Chris.
In Pennsylvania, you can use your medical cannabis card to vote, just so you know.
Whoa, what?
Yes, that's true. And in each state has different guidelines for how they issue the ID and what the backgrounds are on how they verify somebody's identity, basically, for it. So Pennsylvania has a really intense identity ID process, almost like getting your driver's license. So the New Jersey medical marijuana card is a little less onerous in that regard. I don't know. I'll have to look into that a little bit, but it is generally accepted as identification and state ID. On the other hand, again, flashing around your medical marijuana card in the wrong circumstance cannot be awesome. There is a zero tolerance per se THC DUI policy in Pennsylvania. So if you get pulled over, don't flash it to the cops. And finally, I have 1 more minute left. I have to go at 8:30. Any other further questions that I can answer in 1 minute or less?
Go ahead, Joe. You can have it.
Oh no, I guess I would like to connect with you more. I am very interested in the work you're doing, and I'd love to see how I can help out more.
Well, I appreciate that. You can go to normal.org. I have a blog up there. If you search Chris Goldstein normal, you'll find my blog. Almost everybody here, Jim and Lefty and everybody in this group, they participated in one of the blogs that's one of my most recent works, which is all about 100,000 arrests being prevented here in New Jersey in the last few years. So anyway, man, that's the best way to find me, and I hope that we can connect here in the future. Lefty's got my email address too, so it's no worries.
Cool. I will be reaching out.
All right. Sounds good. Everybody have a great night, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Chris. Congratulations again.
Have a good night. Be safe.
Great stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Joe, you really stepped in it tonight with the.
It's all good.
Not a boring night at all.
It's all good. Like I said, Sue told me about this, and I'm eager to jump in and have a conversation with anybody that's on my side of it. And I don't even care what we disagree on or what we don't. If we can push this ball forward in any way, shape, or form. In California, it's like pulling teeth to get anybody to help anymore. And I'm not going to give up until we're done. So I don't want to be 100 years old still at this. I'd like to be done sooner than that. So I'm looking for the people that are still in the trenches. That's what it's all about.
I know you have a lot of patient focus. Your last show with Sue, I think you had a patient on there with you. So you've seen a lot of suffering, and that's pretty much why we're still out here, because for patients, we've been stepped over and passed over, and we're not going to be forgotten about. And because of people like you, we appreciate you, because you're keeping the patient's voice alive. So thank you.
Well, this all came out of that initially almost 40 years ago. When I began this journey, there was no protection of anything, and we were helping people. And in California, 1996, so that's almost 30 years ago, we passed our first law that gave us some medical coverage. Well, in 2010 is when I got arrested for the first time, following California's law as best as could be, and started my nightmare disaster of the legal system. And it's just all been helping people, and it's all medical, whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you recreation is medical. It's all medical. And that's the part that, I just can't get my head around, why we can't normalize that conversation, and let the medical side of it be the foundation that we stand on, and the details can be in the legalization side of it. I don't care. But
yeah, Joe, when you say in 1996 you got some kind of medical marijuana, I got to say, that was the biggest thing that ever happened in New Jersey. In 1996, I was the only medical cannabis advocate I knew in New Jersey, Cheryl and myself. And we'd been doing what we did really publicly for years before that. The first thing that we had was at the state level, your state legislature in California sent a resolution to Congress, all members of the cabinet and the White House, that the country should act expeditiously to legalize medical marijuana, just a resolution.
Right.
So that was the first thing I had in '93 to poll legislators here with, and I had a snail mail handwritten copy it down at Kinko's or whatever it was then, to 120 legislators, handwriting the return. I mean, it was this whole in 1994.
Yeah,
and it was based on California then.
I
know it didn't work in '95. I think there was a pretty good effort in California, but then '96 when it drove that was it.
Yeah.
Finally, the conversation of it is medical, the largest state in the country, most people, it's legal. So I've been pointing to California for a really long time. And the only time I had a problem with people in California was when Governor Christie here was messing up our regulations, because he inherited a law we passed and he was against it really a lot. And he said, Lefty heard it forever, me, we don't want to be like the Wild West of Colorado and California. The Wild West of Colorado and California. The Wild West. Colorado came first. Colorado. who never weighed in? People from Colorado and California.
Yeah.
We were being anchored with the Wild West of Colorado. And I got in touch with people I knew, and I was on the Association for Reform Organizations list, where it's all the reformer could have 2 people on it.
Right.
And I was not impressed, that we had to fight that here, where people from Colorado and California should have been pissed off that they were being held up as reason to screw up our program.
Yep.
So at first it was a beacon in '96, and damn, when we needed help getting in the lifeboat, y'all didn't come through.
I agreed. And the thing is it was the Wild West in the sense of people were trying to do it right and still getting arrested. And, our law was written vague for a purpose. And, laws are supposed to be, vague laws are supposed to be interpreted in the benefit of the person being accused. And it didn't work out that way. The government decided, well, since it didn't say clearly, we're just going to go ahead and interpret it. And then when they finally codified it in 2001, I think it was, it didn't really help much. And my case was a precursor to one of the precedent-setting cases in the medical side of things. And, but 6 years of getting run through the grinder and losing everything and, coming out winning in the end, it don't feel very good. And it didn't feel like a win at all. And it took, I'm still recovering from it. And,
go ahead. It's an echo. That's another echo. Now, Governor Christie was so bent on slowing down, wasted full 6 months saying he needed some sort of assurance that people wouldn't be arrested at dispensaries or whatever from the federal government, knowing he wasn't going to get it.
Right.
And he did all the delay stuff. He did so bad with the establishing the regulations, so bad that New Jersey has a very little known thing in the Constitution, I guess, where the legislature can take 2 votes, pass one, then take it again, basically the same vote. I guess a certain amount of time in between, I don't know why, to invalidate the regulations and start over or take over the regulatory process themselves. It'd never been done. So it passed the first vote. In other words, it was telling the governor, no, this is not within the spirit and intent of the law as we passed it. We passed it, and you're not doing the regulations with the intent of the law we passed. Then at the second vote, when it was time to have it, they didn't call for it. They didn't take the vote because they didn't know what would happen. There was no established procedure. Once you did that, you invalidate. Do you start over? Who's in charge? Do they go back and do better homework? Which just delays everything. So it was a real cluster shock here. See how I changed that?
Well, I think part of the problem is when you're working on the state side of things, you're working on the part that affects you directly right now, unless you're a federal prisoner. And unfortunately, the federal prisoners vary so wildly from the big giant conspiracy cases to a mom and pop in their basement. A lot of it's luck of the draw, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so the people, like I say, for more than 20 years, I've been out there jumping up and down and doing my thing and, talking to the people that I can reach. But you're only talking to the people that are affected directly right now. And 95% of those people, I've sat in courtrooms all over the country, and 85% of them were state courtrooms. 15% of them were federal courtrooms. And when you're dealing with the state coming after you, which is everywhere all the time, you don't really think much about the federal side of things. It's just not relevant to most people in what causes somebody to move, unfortunately. And I deal with a lot of federal inmates and people that have, been touched by that. And it's just this different conversation. And of course, those people that I work with that have been touched by the feds, they're all about, let's fix this and finish it. But
I spent the first with Cheryl. we only worked at the federal level from late 1989, early 1990, till pretty much 1993, when I walked across the state pushing a wheelchair with a big sign in it to make sure the media paid attention. So we were more at the federal level because of the DEA closing the investigational new drug program that was then had like 30 some people that they were given 300 joints to a month. And what happened is they streamlined the process. And as soon as they did, we had we filled it out, had the doctor or neurologist was filling it out. And then we got the word that they very quietly stopped accepting single patient applications. So we felt like it came so close to doing that, but then it became a matter of taking on them. And it actually started with Bruce Siegel, the head of the health department, Dr. Bruce Siegel, in 1993. Reinvigorated my fight at the federal level by seeing what could be done, because we were pressuring New Jersey to make some changes and just doing it with the two of us. So it was like really crazy. But, we got arrested in 1998 in Congressman Jim Rogan's office from Orange County, California. So we got arrested in his office, and he didn't look real good on TV or in the world. All the news the next day was widely covered, March 30th, 1998. And then she laid down in former Congressman Bob Barr's office doorway because of what he did to initiative of the 69 and withheld funding, so the DC vote didn't go through. So, everything we were doing was at the federal level because there wasn't anything really going on here. And then kind of shifted back. I don't know. I guess after about 1999, being part of the Larry Hirsch's federal lawsuit with 500 patients, and they had a case in Philadelphia. So it's been a long road for me as well. And to me, I am focused on home grow for patients. Everything else, I nod my head like a bobbing head doll, and I do have interest, but I am like laser focused because there are all the pieces of the puzzle, and they just, and I can do a lot of things somewhat by myself, but I like being, my initiatives are well received by Sativa Cross since I joined up with them. And it's really going to, for the first time, be moving for patients for the home grow that was in the original bill that was passed in the Senate, yanked out, and Assembly compromised 2009. Boom, first state with no home grow. It's us. State 14, we went another way. See, but we're the outlier state. So this now, the footing's being changed. No, we don't have to tell you why patients deserve the right to do some of their own medicine. You have to tell patients why they don't deserve the right. What benefit does New Jersey have for being the outlier state we've been since 2010? What benefit do we have? What happened in other states with home grow that we've avoided that you can stand on? So they need to validate what's going on.
But that's never going to work because it is common sense. And you're trying to bring that into politics.
No. We mix common sense with, on Thursday, we're having a hot box for home grow at the State House. No, we do not go unnoticed. Trust me, my friend. We are not like the problem you have in California. We are well seen and on purpose and for years now. Yeah, it is going to move this year. The bill that we have has been blocked in the Senate by the Senate president from being heard in its first hearing, because he can do that as much as others want to schedule it. But problem is he's the same one that got it through as senator in 2009. It was his bill. He was the primary sponsor of the original medical marijuana bill, which had home grow, and he got it through. And then he became Senate president, and now he's blocking it from happening. It's this whole scenario that's unbelievable, and it's all converging now. It's too late to stop. So it's just this bill finally, the guy that yanked it out in the Senate, chairman of the Health Committee in 2009, a compromise ultimatum, or patients got nothing that year, so they got that. And Scutari said then, don't worry, we can revisit this in the future once our program is up and running, meaning the medical program. Now that it's up and running, and he became the architect of legalization for New Jersey, the godfather of marijuana, is what he says some people call him. What a weasel. And no offense to weasels.
Yeah, I was going to say that's making weasels look bad.
Yeah, I know, but you see, so that's kind of where we are. But it worked because the assembly version of the bill went to Assembly Health Committee, and the head of the committee was the same guy that pulled out the home grow provisions in 2009. So he wasn't going to put up a home grow bill. He made sure to, and by the way, never let anybody know why. It was never discussed, not allowed to know by anybody. So this session, which started in early January, it got assigned to a different committee. So right now, this bill, same one that's been stopped in both houses, both chambers, sits in a committee, the Oversight and Reform and Federal Relations Committee, a 5-man committee, where the chairman is a co-sponsor of the assembly version of this home grow bill. And the vice chair is a co-sponsor of this assembly home grow bill. Out of 5 people on the committee, this bill is going to get heard. The only man that can stop it is somebody who I really shouldn't pull a Scutari in the assembly, but we're finding out real quick if it's going to be a fight there, or is it going to get its first hearing. And once it gets a hearing, come on, 4 mature and 4 immature plants, who's that going to scare? And we got all these other states. This is the whole purpose of the United States. Some states try stuff, the other states sit back, see how it works out, and you learn. You don't have to travel the country. You can learn, but not if you go the other way. I mean, we're like the Donner Party, We picked a different route, and it isn't working out. Anyway, that's my say. Holy smoke. I am really excited about the prospects. So I actually have things to do, getting in touch with the right people, and there's more moves to make that I have to pretty much have a pen and paper available and make notes all over the place, and then try to gather them by, and it's getting interesting. And Lefty, I'm looking forward to Thursday. It's going to be fun. Last hot box for home grow. Now, when you say that, is Chris bringing the tent?
No, it's going to be 60 degrees. So I don't
So
think we need that.
it's not a hot box then.
Not
We
a hot.
had it in the tent last time. That's the whole. You can't call it a hot box for home grow now. I can't. What do you call it? A co person on this if you're gonna.
I'll bring a big box, and we can sit inside the box. Hot boxes.
Just put the big box over your head, and it'll go quick.
Let's do that. Bear, do you have a box, Bear?
Plenty of boxes.
Yeah, so we'll find a big box and bring it. It'll have a sign that says hot box. There it is.
We're the duplicitous is the people that were opposite.
Get your nice refrigerator box, and you can fit 3-4 guys in there.
Yes.
Well, we did fit William Haney in a box that one day. No, it's just a guy. Lefty would have this empty box of a magical butter machine.
That's right.
Because Garen Angel would give it, we donate them, but it'd always be what it can do. We'd do a little commercial and had the box. So when he picked it up on the other side at the end of the table, but farther away, it's our friend William Haney, which made him look about that big. So when he lifted up the box, there he was, and it was on the screen. It was hilarious. He put it back on and talked to him, and he looked like little tiny person. Anyway,
that was funny.
Yeah, but
it worked out good.
Yeah, hot box for homegirl. Oh man,
we'll put together a box somehow.
No, you know.
How about we have a porta-john? Get a porta-john. We hot box the porta-john.
Yeah, well, originally at events, that's exactly what it was. If there was one there, you know, and it was well used. I remember doing that. Well, you know, it should be fun. I make also a lot of signs, Joe. I've been making signs for a long time. It's what I do. But for this,
got a whole shed full of signs for the last 20 years. We used to.
Oh, I had so many.
We used to have what we called a rally in a box, and we were going to courthouses all over the country. So many people were standing up actually fighting their cases. We would keep 10 or 15 signs behind our seat just in case somebody give us a call. Hey, somebody just got called for a hearing or whatever, and we were nearby, and boom, we just pull out there, boom, it's instant rally. It was pretty effective for a while.
Having the rally at the State House, the State House itself is very old, it's still undergoing renovations, like 6 years now. But the annex, which is a big U-shaped building, which is where all the committee rooms were anyway when you were using that State House. So from the windows that we're not right in the U, we're out by the road because consuming a lot of marijuana at the same time. But anybody going in and out of most of the committee rooms can look out and see there's a gathering. So our signs can easily be read by anybody in the building, which is kind of nice knowing that. Mm-hmm. But Lefty, for this one, I was thinking of getting your normal poster board ones and on each one, kind of like one to the next. The first step is that the primary sponsor, Reynolds Jackson, Assemblywoman Reynolds Jackson, needs to ask, I forget his name, the head of the committee to post her bill for a hearing. And then he has to check with the Assembly Speaker as to whether or not it's going to be taken down. Can I post it for a hearing? And then Speaker Coughlin has to allow him to post it. So each sign would ask that next person to do something. The primary sponsor, Jackson Reynolds, of this bill, please ask Chairman to post it. And then another sign, like all the little steps, just because that's all it needs to be done. We're not asking for anything other than a bill to have an informational hearing. So, if that shouldn't be the easiest thing to try to have, an informational hearing after 3 years. It's this is going to be it. This is going to be the session, but it has to happen pretty soon because they take a long vacation after they get the budget ready by the end of June. So this needs to happen before the second week in May, I would say.
Like tomorrow.
Second week in May.
So, Joe, you were all over the state? All over the country?
I've been all over the country. I've been in courtrooms in probably 30 states.
Wow.
Over the last 20 years, we've supported cases in Canada and UK, New Zealand. I mean, that's what my 501c3 has been all about, is advocating for people that are, that are defendants primarily. And then we got more into prison outreach, and we started connecting more and more with inmates. And now we've got a reentry program that we're putting together that's more of a mentor reacclimation type of a project. I work with a lot of lifers that have been spent more than 20 years behind bars. And, one of Craig Cecil's spent 18 years behind bars in federal prison. He sits on our board right now. And, we're just going to keep going until people aren't locked up anymore. And, you know, each of these things that we're doing is good and viable and relevant, and I support it all. And I've shifted more from being the tip of the spear when I was going through my own trial and being, you know, in the courtrooms where people were getting locked up and visiting, you know, people as they're getting brought in, to now I'm more working with other groups and other leaders, because I found it harder and harder to find people that are reaching out, you know, in a timely way for help. I get people that call me at the last minute, you know, they're about to go into trial and they're like, hey, can you help me? I'm like, what do you want me to do now? You know, I mean, this stuff takes planning and effort. And, you know, grassroots organizing, you guys know it's tough work. And a lot of times it's just a couple of people, and then you rally more people as you're going. And that's what I've learned, is wherever the real need is, that's where we show up. And that was always our calling card, is we show up. And so
you ever hear November Coalition?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Ashley Clements and I used to communicate.
What was her name? God, the Nora Callahan.
Yeah.
No, we were friends. I haven't talked to her in years, but we were good friends.
So, you know, when you said it sounded like there are parallel interest because
I've worked with Amy Bova and Can Do Clemency Organization. She sat on my board for a little while. I mean, I've worked with people all over the country, and I just frankly, I haven't had my own case, and I don't want another case, so I'm not looking to change that. But, you know, it's been over 10 years since I was fighting for my own freedom, and I learned, and when I'm not fighting for my freedom, it's harder to get people. I can't care more about your case than you do. And it seemed that was the deal. Like, I fought with everything I had when I was fighting, and I won only because I fought with everything I had. There was not one thing I did that worked. It was the combination of everything and not giving up, and all of it together caused me to get out of it without a felony record. But it's hard to find anybody that'll even put up that kind of a fight. Most people swing over and do the plea deal, or throw money at their lawyer and go, well, you do it for me. And it's just not the way it happens. And so now, I mean, you know, I spend more of my time looking for people that are doing something valuable that I can lend a hand with. And, you know, I'm more of a free agent now than I ever was. I'm not hung up on it being my thing or your thing. I just want to help.
Well, I've been arrested 3 times, but never accidentally. It was always on purpose. So
yeah. Well, I tried to avoid being arrested, and I got arrested anyway. So
we were able to control the narrative, and you know, in all 3 cases, it was not a losing effort, no matter what. If we were made to go away, like doing an illegal test from Cheryl's hospital bed in 1997 in front of the State House, they would not accept and check that it was indeed illegal and they should be arresting us. That was a win. I mean, but it would have been a bigger win if we were arrested then. But, you know, she could only move her head and her shoulders a little bit. And, you know, so
anytime we take an action and do anything in our own behalf, it's a win. And that's the problem. That's what drives me crazy, is that so many people are willing to sit back and take that token there wherever, but they're not willing to do that one little thing. It doesn't matter. You know,
you could go onto YouTube still and see some of the stuff the coalition put out, little PSAs of sorts.
Right.
You know, once you didn't need to go into had the benefit of social contact, social media, Facebook.
Right.
You know, and even before that, it became a lot easier to challenge and get arrested on purpose, where they had no choice but to arrest. You know.
Yep, I agree.
And you know, the one in Jim Rogan's office where we got to talk to your California congressman, who was big on medical marijuana in the state as a state representative, and you all voted, sent him to Washington, and he turned around and stabbed you in the back, you know? So Cheryl didn't like that. It was funny. There was 30 people at a protest at his office, didn't know she was getting arrested at his office.
Wow.
And we got to talk with him. I swear to God, I wish I had a picture of his chief of staff He looked like a 5'10" Bill Clinton.
Oh, geez.
I mean, to the point where he walks in and I go, because I know, get it out of your system. And right away I said, well, did you inhale? I mean, I don't know what else to say. But anyway, we had a 20-minute conversation with him, or I did mostly on Cheryl's behalf. And he didn't want it to end because we were going out and about to be arrested in his office and taken away, And then he called down to see how we were doing and everything. But to see his white pasty face like a deer in headlights out there saying to the world, me, I mean, it was really well covered. And he said, well, I did say on record in committee that I would make an exception for people who appear to be in Cheryl's condition. And that's what we wanted him to say. It's like, no, as a congressman, it isn't up to you to look and decide who looks like a patient, for crying out loud. That's why we need a law. So basically, we got exactly what we wanted, and we're pretty much made to go away. There was no sanctions really at all. And I hear what you're saying about people in California become a little satisfied. I'll tell you the truth. I've seen it happen with adult home grow here. It was a huge outcry, and it was drowning out the patients actually, to where the bill that connected the two was holding patients back. So, it's like two distinctly different things, but there's not that lefty that, there's just not that big outcry like there was 2 years ago. And Nick Scutari likes it like that because he doesn't have to fend off shit right now. Not really, because the patients are easy to fend off. They're patients. They don't have certain advantages that you get to confront. True. Yeah, but he's right that the traction patients are going to get this session and they're going to get a hearing. It's the same bill that's not being allowed to be heard in the Senate, but it also applies to adults, because if patients can work this out, adults are sure to follow. It's like Mary's little lamb, and they're the lamb. We're Mary.
I completely agree. Listen, guys, I'm going to have to get rolling. I really appreciate being invited.
This has been nice. Yeah. I got to get going myself too.
But I definitely want to throw my hat into your ring and just say, look, I'm here to help, and anything that I can do to assist. You guys are actually doing something. Yeah. So
well, my guess is you'll find ways and suggestions how you can help us more quicker than we're going to say, here's what you can do, Joe. You're going to go, absolutely. You know what I can. So just get to know us.
No problem. I'm not shy with my opinion or my voice. So anytime you invite me into the room, I'll pop in and I'll tell you what I think for sure.
All right, good.
Awesome. Right on, Joe.
Thank you, guys. You're doing great work, and let's get her done. Let's get her done.
Join us anytime. And I want your cool set behind you where it says Cup of Joe. You have that really cool set.
Yeah.
I was expecting your set today.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just my backyard. This is my my other Cup of Joe.
Yeah, I like the set, man. That's cool.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll talk soon. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Joe. Talk soon, Joe.
Yeah, he's got the coolest set behind him. He's got like the screen. It says Cup of Joe.
I got to see that.
Cool.
He's a good guy, and he knows a lot of people, and he's done a lot. So
like
he's a good guy for you.
He's got a great show. You like his show.
Yeah.
Bear, you'd even like his show.
He seems to like what he walked into tonight. He just seemed like he's had a big smile and is really enjoying.
Yeah, he's genuine. He really is.
He did, like Lefty said, he picked a good show to pop in on because starting with Steve and Mikey and then moving on to Chris. I'm like, wow, we're a well-rounded group.
Wow, what a show!
Oh, we got a nurse representing, no, not just a nurse, look at 5,000 people, yada, yada, yada. I'm just getting blasted too. So
Jim, we're going to join a call with the Cannabis Nurses Network one day soon. And I'll let you do the talking.
About what?
I don't think I have a choice.
that was hard.
I'll chime in and do some color commentary here and there.
Well, I don't see. The thing is, I don't know exactly.
What?
I want to be available for whatever, Sue, that you would want to get together. And I'm always going to say, yeah, I'll take part. But I don't have really any mind about how it will go or any inclination to care. I just show up and what are we talking about? What are we going to do? And it's,
you know what? There's a lot of legal work that goes on. You know, we have 5,000 nurses, but they're from all over the country. And we even have a nurse in Israel. She worked with Dr. McCollum.
I met him. He's cool.
Yeah. So there's all different brands. Okay. So I have to be very careful about some of the things I say, because they don't quite get us.
Well, I want to know how.
That's okay, because you know what, this
I'm
network
not good at
is my
being
idea.
careful about what I say.
I want to know how they can help Rowan in her situation in the hospital where the nurses are not allowed to give her medicine. They're actually taking it away from her. Why is that happening? And
why is that happening? So I want to be able to get some more information about that. I'm also very interested in this dispensary in Roselle Park. Park. Yeah, and wherever else you said.
No,
just because this is not the first time I've heard this from you guys. You know, you've said that before, that you have to show ID. You don't have to show ID up here.
But that they're obviously, is it up to each dispensary whether you need ID or not is a good question. But did they have other ID and just not want to show it, or was that the only ID they had, a patient ID?
Why do you have to show any ID?
No, because they asked and they didn't end up getting anything, and maybe they're going to get satisfaction and maybe they're not. I agree they shouldn't have to, but what shouldn't have to be done and what happened obviously diverged, So the fact is it did happen. And
but there's too much sketchy stuff going on in like one.
Well, what do we do? I mean, it shouldn't happen, but it's like I'd like to take care of the fact that it did happen before trying to change so it never happens again or anything.
Let's go to Delran. There's a place called Castaway. We can go try to see if that's the place. And there's also
I personally have no problem walking into any place. Okay?
Yeah, let's go to.
I have no problem walking in with my patient ID and say it's the only ID I'm going to show you. And
I gave to a cop as a driver's license one day. Okay, he gave it back to me. At least he was nice enough to say, no, wrong one. But anyway, no, I think that
Delran, didn't he say Delran? I'm interrupted. Delran's down here.
The only one I know of there is Castaway. There could be Castaway. Maybe.
Well, that's nearer me. That's down south for me. Like to go to Roselle. No,
Roselle Park is
that's right there. I go Delran.
That's up here.
I can go to Roselle.
Yeah, that's up here. There's a place.
I gotta know which.
Just where.
I would check. I would check
Castaway. Or just walk in any random. I don't know.
There must be a list of.
Try Castaway. Try that one first.
Yeah.
And then I'll try Joy Leaf in Roselle Park. We'll start there. We'll start with those two, and we'll go around.
So I mean,
you want me to go with you to Roselle?
Yeah, let's go to Joy Leaf and see if we have any joy there.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
we have coffee anyway, so we can have coffee and bad cannabis.
Hey, did you hear? I didn't read it yet, but apparently they're making some headway with a consumption lounge in Atlantic City.
I have a consumption lounge right here, Jim.
We have one in Hackensack.
I know. What's that? Did you hear?
On Main Street.
Okay, yeah, I got one right here too. But did you hear about the one in Atlantic City? I don't know.
Law allows us to smoke.
We don't have any consumption lounges in the state yet, apparently.
Yeah, next week at the State House, we're good.
I think I don't know. I mean, I'm about as I don't really care about it so much. It seems pretty nice, I guess, if you're want to get out and smoke somewhere or other. I don't, but the idea, that it's not allowed.
Yeah.
I just like that changing and having something, and
You can't smoke weed unless you're in a state-approved lounge. What?
Yeah. I want to smoke outside the state-approved lounge and say, I'll smoke right outside. What are they going to say? No, you can't smoke outside our place to smoke.
They'll say you wouldn't have weed without me.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's a Scutari dig. Didn't go over my head, by the way. I usually send them more than have to catch them.
All right. So the other thing that we want to do is this nursing home. Okay.
What's that?
The nursing home.
Rowan's place, the place, Princeton.
Princeton? It's acute care. Yes, the acute care in Princeton.
Acute care.
Does she have like a relative or somebody we can get in touch with?
Bob was taking care of her.
Who's Bob?
Bob Salter.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's her. Are they married? I mean,
I believe they're married. Yeah.
If not, they've been living as married for a long, long time.
She has 10 steps to go up to her apartment. So they wanted her to walk before she can go home, and she can't walk. She has this disease.
Yeah, I saw her. Yeah.
So I think she's home. She is home now, finally.
She is, yeah.
She's home. But
I saw her heartfelt thanks to you posted on Facebook in some way, shape, or form. And I could just feel how good it must be for her to be out of her nightmare. Physically out of her nightmare. And apparently it seemed that you may have made sure she had something to come back to in some way, shape, or form.
So she's home?
She's home.
So,
but it's sort of like they don't get to do that. They shouldn't get to do that and just let it be okay.
No, we can protest now. Now that she's not there anymore, now we can go protest.
We can protest, and then I would also like to interview her.
Yeah,
no, she'd be good with that.
Yeah.
She'd appreciate it.
Do you know how to get in touch with her?
Yeah, we can probably get her on the podcast one night. I mean, sure.
I wouldn't do it that way.
No, we could have not a podcast, just call it a
we can do it. Yeah, we can record it.
Yeah, just do like
do what you're doing right here, and she's the only other person. She's the only other person.
Right.
Or maybe Bob too, if they're gonna. I like Bob.
Bob's great.
Yeah, because there's a lot of questions I'd like to ask her. I mean, like really about
Yeah, well, she'd like that, and she'll, it won't take long. She'll be getting used to not being that and actually having food. She'd take pictures like what her food tray was, and it was like it looked bad. I mean, it looked.
See, those are the kinds of questions too. I want to because she'll get into talking about that, what's the quality of care there? So what's going on there? Is this one of those places where they were dumping COVID bodies? What's happening there? Princeton doesn't have the best reputation.
Yeah, well,
here anyway.
It's going to get worse if they don't have some answers.
Yeah. So if we could talk to her, that would be really awesome.
Yeah.
And I can come up with a list of questions.
Yeah, she was like.
Because as long as she's not a patient there, as long as she's not a patient there, then I am not liable for any kind of violation.
Yeah. She was the first, had the first registration card I ever saw. First time she had the first card I ever saw, because she went to coalition meetings back in the old days, way back. So they're looking forward to it, and it's like, oh look, a real card.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm so unexcited, but I still keep my card. I'm going to go make a purchase there I should make one per year, and say I can't afford it. That's why I want home brew. Yeah, I can prove I can't afford it. look at my records if I can release them of all that I bought it where I go, and you can see I've bought almost none for a year and a half now. I ran out of money, and I key my card up in case I get some money, but I never do. I need to grow it. Hey, listen, I got to go. I got to have an actual dinner.
Hearts for Home Grow. I like that. Hearts for Home Grow. Ricky just sent me something.
Bear.
There. Big Bear just sent me something. What did I just do?
You just said Big Bear just sent me something.
Oh, I just lost the. Hold on.
No.
Look at that. Lost it.
There you go.
He's right.
It was a cool picture. It's Hearts for Home Grow. I'll show it to you next week. It's pretty cool.
I just made it.
You just made that? Oh man, you just made that while we were sitting here?
Hearts
Let's see. I just sent it to myself. Hold on. We can go look at it. Where is it?
Yeah.
Download.
Having had the Cheryl Hart organization for a long time, Hearts for Home Grow, has a really nice ring. I like that.
Paper towels, put a little water.
There you go.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to get going. So,
Okay, you guys, let me know when you want to do the
that's up to Leslie.
Nurses Network.
I'm pretty clear every evening that I'm not here. I mean, if I know ahead of time for sure.
All right, and
Just
Lefty, you'll answer me, right?
Thank you.
My son, Sunday's the only day it doesn't work for me, though.
Don't worry about that.
I'm just saying it's a family day, and even in the evening, we have 3 beers and lots of cannabis.
Nobody wants to do anything on Sunday. Don't worry about it.
Well, I do stuff, but it's not be around people. I don't like to be a social when I'm having 3 beers and countless bongs at a family Sunday gathering, and as long as Kathy comes too, I have a driver home. I get my 3 beers.
Now, give me 2 minutes here. We got cmmmnj.org, Count of Sense, UFCW, Jackson Storms, Smoking Monkey, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, and sativacross.org, where you can donate to us on the shop page. Our list begins with begins with Cheryl, and then Sabina, and then Diane, Gracie, Diane Ripatella, and Sabina Rose. I mean, if you want to go there, we'll talk about Sabina Rose. She was a poor little baby who had a 25-hour seizure. And then Cheryl, we all know what happened with Cheryl. You just talked about it before. How you pushed her you pushed her all over in a gurney. I've never seen anybody get pushed in a gurney around before.
Well, it's a reclining wheelchair, so when you put it all the way down and you put the legs all the way up, bippity boppity boop.
Man, and it was her idea. She wanted that.
Oh yeah. It was very well aware that the worse it got for her, the more powerful. So the weaker she became, the stronger she became as an advocate, and realized just her showing up iced any deal I wanted to make, pretty much. And to come out of the Crown Point, I think was the name of it, the motel, a 4-star, I think, maybe 3. The next morning, a woman in a sort of like a business suit was briskly walking by and looked and saw Cheryl like just coming out of the motel, and stopped where she walked over and said, "I saw you on television last night. Good for you. Good for you." And went and hurried on her way. And I'd never seen the look. It was pride.
Wow.
The look on Cheryl's face was just pride. She not proud of herself, just proud that just showing up, and it's not easy. Oh my God, the trip could be horrible. I mean, one time I almost put a straw up her nose because she had a sippy cup with a straw, and we were riding, and I was trying to get it in her mouth, and we went over a bump and hit her nose, and I was like, oh Christ, I could have, But anyway, to see that, and then she just became very aware from correspondence that she would get after she was arrested, and people found ways to get in touch with us. So, yeah, showing up.
Yeah, and those pictures are still all around.
Yeah.
I come across them all the time.
What made Cheryl start her advocacy? What was the last thing that she said, that's it, I got to do something about this?
Well, actually, we had, she'd been on out as an advocate / activist, just showing up everywhere and pretty well blindsiding people like governor or whatever governor we had, except Whitman. Well, even her, we did show up, obviously. And but it was watching a thing on a movie on TV about Rosa Parks, and she was like really impressed by the attitude, to go where you're not supposed to go, and then let what happens happen, make it happen, and then get arrested. Now you got me. What are you going to do with me? In her case, but it was just moved by that, and we that followed something we did like on Martin Luther King as well. I mean, it might have been. I don't think we even had Black History Month then. I can't be sure, but yeah, it was that, and pretty well knowing the odds were basically no matter what happened, it would be a success. Hopefully, it wouldn't. Be a health issue, though, occurring because she was quite clear that after being arrested, I couldn't help her. Turns out I could, though, because the police that arrested us in Washington got reamed out by the lieutenant in charge of the South Capitol precinct because I was pushing her up, and she's up not where up at where there's a ramp. And then, but she's like on up at the top, looking down as we're walking up, yelling out down, "Who's he?" Because she goes, "It's Cheryl's husband." What's he doing? Well, he's under arrest too. She was confused. She thought it was only one person. And then she said, "Well, why isn't he handcuffed?" And he goes, "He's helping us with Cheryl." And it was like really insubordinate. And she wheeled and turned in, and then we're getting processed, and they did me first, and she was on the other side of the screen thing, like right there, and they had me taking all my stuff and all my change. And then I look over, and she looks like she's out of soda, and I said, "Are you thirsty?" And she nodded her head, and I said, "Cheryl needs a soda." They had a machine, and I logged in all my change. So they started searching for change, and wouldn't you know it, Lieutenant Freya walked out right then, walked right up, just, "What are you doing?" She was beside herself, and the guy didn't flinch. He went, "Cheryl's thirsty. We need to get her a soda." So she looks at Cheryl. I mean, what you do, you looked at her, I mean, not badly, just looked at her, and Cheryl went, "I'm sorry." And Lieutenant, for his whole posture, it was like a magic wand was just waved, like, oh, and she became a real big fan. And she actually went on to become the highest ranking female officer in Capitol Police history. Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah, but anyway, it was actually to commit civil disobedience. So that was why the first thing at in Trenton, that was 6 months before when she did that test from the hospital, but it was quite illegal. And that was the result. But then I guess it really wasn't enough. It was like we didn't get arrested, and it was a pretty big thing. And then I assured her, "Yeah, if we did this in Washington, you'll get arrested there." Ooh, okay. So we called normal, and I guess they thought this is too good to be true, and actually didn't get back to me. So we called the fledgling MPP, Marijuana Policy Project, and they couldn't believe it, you know. And then we met them a week later. We had a conference call. Met them a week later. They got us a room just outside Washington, and a second floor walk up. Used to be apartments or whatever. They made it into a motel. No elevator. Wheelchair. Cheryl, no elevator. 8 people, including Dr. Dennis Petro, waiting for us in a room, and I've met none of them. Oh, that was exciting. Dr. Dennis Petro, I knew all about because I used a lot of his work to validate the possibility that cannabis could be really good for multiple sclerosis therapy. Wild time. You know? I should go on tour, you know, like doing a PowerPoint, you know, if I had more pictures or video, whatever. But yeah, that was she realized she was always the new sheriff in town wherever she went, you know. And things like Bill Bradley taking his beach walk, he's going to run for president, you know. Senator Bradley, and he's going to the beach near us. So we get there, and he was already on the beach, and somebody came up to us, you know, because I had a sign, and Cheryl, and we couldn't get on the beach in a wheelchair, so we're waiting for him to come off, and he brought him right over, and it's pretty amazing. And he actually changed a position. He got back to me in something in writing that we went to our first normal conference and met Dale Geringer, and he, you know, marveled at the fact that we got a statement from Bill Bradley, and, you know, it's kind of fun for her, you know. Anyway, yeah, it was civil disobedience, Rosa Parks in particular.
Rosa, good old Rosa.
Oh yeah, and
Cheryl.
And well, also we got in touch with her through the Rosa Parks Foundation, and we're invited to Michigan. I don't believe it was Detroit. Could have been, because she was John Conyers, worked in his office there. He's a congressman from maybe Detroit. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, it would have been hard to make the trip to get there, but she was invited to. It was women and not activists, something, you know, and celebrating Rosa Parks, and where we would have gotten to meet Rosa and hang out, and she would have got to meet Cheryl. But in retrospect, you know, I really should have done whatever it took to get a vehicle that I could take care of her in and shoot there and back, because that would have been really classic, you know. But she did send a copy of her memoir, autobiography, or whatever, and quite a nice note. To which then Patients at a Time conference had an auction and invited me to California, and I wanted to bring something for their auction, so I auctioned off, let them auction off the book, and Frank Lucido, a doctor in California, bought it for $565. So I got Patients at a Time, $565. I don't have the book, but you see how it's a round circle. It's a good thing. Anyway, yeah. You're not cutting me off, man. You know I need to be cut off, Lefty. You know, I go on till that's where I'm supposed to be.
I love the stories that you have.
Yeah,
Cheryl, because
there's more that have never been told. I mean, untold, a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories, and you might have told me that a while back, but I just it's good to be reminded who inspires who, and it's great inspiration. Because No Mens Rea. When I think of Rosa, I think of No Mens Rea. There's a guilty. You have to have a guilty mind to be committing a crime. And if you know, it's what crime you're committing. Who's the victim here?
Well, I was really proud one time. A guy named Ed Decker wrote more gadfly letters to the editor than anybody, and he'd been in like 3 wars wars and the veteran and the grizzle, you know. And I just loved that he would say something that would get people all, you know. And one time he wrote in reference to one of my letters, because I wrote letters to the editor as well. And he said, "You, Mr. Miller, are not a criminal, you're an outlaw." And I love the difference. It's
It's
he's
like a
right.
badge of honor.
He's right. Yeah, and it's I thought of myself as an outlaw ever since, you know, even when breaking the law. So we never got to meet Ed, but he made me look tame by the stuff I wrote. You go to actually a lot of it's available at the mapinc.org media awareness project. For a while there, had Gary Stork would always like, you had to submit stuff, and I didn't have a computer, but I think maybe like somewhere between 30 to 60 of my letters to the editor that were published all across the country. You know, I get to read them when I want. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So to continue,
Yeah.
Gracie, Cindy May, Marie,
It's
Jack,
we're
Joan,
done.
Randy, Holly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Alicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lulu, Becky, LaWanda, Chip, Paul, and Jeff.
Brutal.
So feel free if you want to stick around. I think we're going to do a little debrief because you know what? Me and Bear never get to chill and do the debrief and like joke around and stuff because we have this random podcast that we do once in a while and we haven't done it. So I think we're probably going to just hang out for a few minutes and just rap and have some fun.
Man,
and
I gotta go.
Yeah. So you guys can chill. You guys can hang out with probably smoke another blunt maybe. We're smoking another blunt. We're going to mess around, talk about some dumb shit like before.
You know I would love to.
What were we saying before? No, we were talking some funny stuff, though. We always talk about funny stuff. And I want to go from a list, this very sad list, something that's funny. Because this list is sad, but sometimes it's hopeful and helpful. We all know how I feel about the list. You know? So.
I thought last week you guys were very funny while you were waiting to hear from Chris. And, you know, I was sitting here and I was really just doing some homework and listening. And I was like, oh, my God, this is what you guys are like Wayne's World last week. You know, it was pretty funny. It really was. I was like, wow.
It seems that way to me, too. But, you know, who knows?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I feel like I'm somewhere else out, you know. And in the old days, it wouldn't have been anything because, you know, I wouldn't have a phone. But in the not so old days to me, but old days for everybody else, you know, it's not like my phone's going to go off or a page or getting a hook. You know, I was supposed to be doing something. And, but now it's just like around a corner where I talk quietly with headphones on. And yeah, it's sort of like, you know, it's too close. It's not even a phone, you know. So anyway, you know.
What are you banging over there, Bear? What is that?
darn chair.
Oh, the chair.
The leg lift to the chair.
Oh, geez.
I'm waiting until I start playing the music, like at the Oscars. If I hear music playing,
Oh,
that'll be the hook.
You missed it. We had the 2 rampadores, Dos Rampadores.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be doing.
That was amazing. Yo, that was amazing. First, we went to the parade. Me and Mikey both had our masks on and our electric wheelchairs, and they kicked us out because we didn't register. So if you look at the pictures, it looks like we marched in the parade because
it does. I saw some of them.
Mission
accomplished.
Oh my God! I was looking at them and I was like, "Look at these."
So
two
you
idiots.
weren't afraid, but you weren't. Yeah.
No, Al Sullivan was the photographer. He's been covering us for years with Bangholio. He saw us. He's like, he had to take a picture of two rampadors, and of course, it made the papers.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
funny.
I wish there was some way I could have had a picture of. I lost a car when Cheryl and I were in Philadelphia for something, and all I knew it was like within 2 blocks, which meant us actually 4-block radius, like 16 quadrants with streets to see if that's it. And there was a gay pride parade going on, and it was hard because there's people on the sidewalks everywhere. So we got out in the parade because I had to go 4 blocks down to get started from the other end coming back, I guess. So we walk 4 blocks in a parade, and we were waving everybody, and I'd pick up Cheryl's hand and wave to people. And they all seemed so confused, terribly confused. It was awesome. Just saying, I got no pictures.
That was a great punchline. It was awesome.
It was great.
Oh, it was. And I found the car. The problem is I thought it was like, I forget how high I thought it was. None of the buildings looked high enough. But when you drove up, you'd go this way and back that way, and that's one. And then you go this way and that way, and that's the next floor. And I felt like, I went way more than this building. But no, one of them was like 5 stories or 4, and that's what it. So I had to check it. Was there? I felt so stupid. Man, it took like an hour and a half. Actually, that was the 1999 class action lawsuit with Larry Hirsch. Yeah, I was late to the party. All right. Well, listen. I gotta go. Yeah, it's dinner time.
It's dinner time.
Yeah, it was before, but I'm going to do this first. I'm going to have dinner.
What a week! What a week! Today was amazing.
This was a good podcast. Apparently, last one Sue was out was pretty good too. I know I had fun.
And
yeah, this is good, and I like it. Just for the hanging around, especially on Thursdays. It's like, oh, okay, so it's not like a board meeting, which descends into this anyway.
Yeah,
it's like Lefty's Playhouse, and we all gather for a while. Oh, look at that!
That looks cool.
Yeah, that is. I like that.
Keep going, more. Go closer. Yeah. Ooh. That looks good. Cheech and Chong.
Yeah,
it's cute.
Picked up on that. Hot box for home grow right there, right on the screen.
Hot box for home grow. You like that little banner we got there now?
I like the banner, but it's not going to be a hot box, man.
I'll bring a box, Jim. I'll bring a box.
Yeah, a hot box. Okay, listen, yeah. One time I wanted to get my girlfriend at the time something for Christmas. I couldn't come up with anything. A home box office. It was a brand new thing. Home box office. You mean you can watch, R-rated movies right from your home? Yeah. So it took like weeks to make the appointment, and it wasn't going to be in time for Christmas. So I took a box. Is where it comes in. And I made it like, I put a roof. I got all Bonghold Mikey on it. All make it look like a home office. Like a home in an office.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it's a box. And I got her that. She couldn't figure out what it was. It's a home, right? Yeah, with an office. Yeah, what's it made out of? The box. What'd you get me?
HBO.
I got you a home box office. Oh man, it went for an hour, and she seemed confused at first, and then, well, it's a great thing, because we didn't live together, and I didn't have home box. All of a sudden, I was getting it for her. That would draw me over to her house. She liked that. Anyway. Yeah, but hot box, what are you going to do? Light it on fire? You can't do that. You get in trouble.
Most of the time, not if you run fast enough.
Yeah. Well, actually, if I get a good parking spot, we can sit in my car anytime somebody wants and crowd in 4 people and hang out. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to help you out, but because don't worry, nobody's coming to hot box.
I was told that there's patients that cannot be in a hot box because they're affected by the smoke and.
Right. Well, yeah, everybody doesn't get in, and last time everybody didn't fit in. They had 20 people in there.
Yeah, and everyone had a blunt or a joint, so you couldn't pass. All you did was just trade.
We had an indoor cannabis cup at one of the Robinson's things in New York. And it was indoors in a bunkhouse, like for a whole bunch of, the campground. And it was too much smoke, and I got away from the door. And I got to where I needed air. I felt like I was going to pass out from the actual smoke, from smoke inhalation. And man, I barely got out the door. I couldn't even know how people could stay in there like that. I'll tell you though, it was a pretty awesome buzz. All right. Yeah, I must go now. That was a wonderful meeting. Slap a gavel, I'm out of here. And I'll catch y'all on the rebound.
All right, Jim. See ya. Yeah, we're going to debrief for a little while here and talk.
Yeah, go ahead. You guys go play.
You can join us. I thought it was a great day. Just listening to the judge today. Man. You don't hear that too often.
Oh, we was talking about the movie with Conor McGregor.
Oh, yeah, it was a good movie with Conor.
Yeah, we was cutting that
walking around naked. What are you doing, Conor? Bro. That was his movie. You could tell. He's like, yeah, I want to walk around naked. Bro. He's all like...
No, that was the stipulations for him getting beat up.
Yeah. Conor McGregor won't get beat up unless I do this.
All right, you guys have fun. I'll talk to you in the next couple of days.
Sue, thank you so much.
Okay, love you guys. We'll talk tomorrow.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, that movie was
funny.
We definitely got to do a review on that. Like a standard random day, we come in and do a review on that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't show no parts of it, but we could talk about it, which would be kind of fun. Because that movie was a lot of fun to watch.
I didn't expect him to be in there. He didn't tell me he was in there.
Oh, I had to let the surprise show itself. Can't give everything away. Wouldn't been excited if I would have told you.
No, he's not on the cover of this. He's not like, it's not Conor's movie. He's not on the cover. It's Jake. It's Jake's movie. And all of a sudden, Conor shows up. I'm like, what's Conor doing in here?
He is kind of on it. I mean, you got to see some other ones. He's
not on the one I saw.
In the background, definitely.
Okay. Maybe I couldn't see his. Let's see. Can we see it here? No. That's all right. Hey, we're still live on Instagram. Hey, Instagram. Instagram usually kills us after an hour, but I guess not. That's good. Yeah, Instagram, there was a little bit of freedom today in Lavalette, Mantaloking. The police and the government of Lavalette is right now freaking out because they're about to get sued. The police, Sergeant LaCicero and Sergeant Lamb, are both getting sued for civil rights violations. They're violating the oath to the Constitution. It's you just name it. They're getting IA, internal affairs. It's going to be a shit show in Lavalette. We're going to go down there and let the Lavalette taxpayers know how much Wally LaCicero, the chief and the sergeant's father, has cost the town with his ego and his ignorance. And that's going to be a fun day. Because these are evil people. These are the people we talk about that should not be in the positions they're in. We want government that looks out for us, that has compassion. These people are not transparent. They're looking to hide things. They spent $17,500 to retain a lawyer to prosecute them for something they did wrong, to cover their ass. And normally that would work. In the past, it worked. In American history, that's how they did shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it got done. Kangaroo courts, railroading people, putting them in jail.
You see, new. This is a recipe.
This is their recipe. This is what they always have done. It's worked for them. They have a legal system with a language to back it up. And Mikey and Steve went in there without a lawyer, without this language to back them up, without this legalese. And they went in there and they smacked the shit out of Lavalette. Do you realize how important this is for your freedom out there? Are you hearing me out there? Your freedoms were actually enforced today by Mikey and Steve. And it was Mikey's idea to go down there. And we went down there for wheelchair access. We went down there with Bongholio. We went down there to film. We've been down there for years. And they've been a thorn in our side. I tell you, Mikey, I'm so proud of you because I was never going to go back there. I even told Mike, I said, I ain't going back to Lavalette. I don't want to go back there. For what? For what? Mikey he wanted to go back. I'm like, all right, Mikey, you know I don't want to do this, but I'm your friend and I support you 100%, so I'm 100% in. So ever since then, he's been on this thing for Lavalette, and I was supporting him. And then Steve gets involved, and Steve is a Marine. He's gung-ho. And one day, we were trying to plan it out where we all get arrested at a certain time. Steve's like, no, I'm going tonight. Steve's like, we're like, wait, you're going tonight? He's like, I'm going tonight. I'm going to film tonight. And me and Mikey are like, what? Huh? I can't go tonight. Mikey's like, all right, I'll go. And Mikey had just got there behind Steve. Like he had just arrived behind him and got arrested 5 minutes after Steve got arrested. They didn't go together. He just happened to arrive after him and he got arrested.
That's hilarious.
Oh man. So when Steve got arrested, he handed the cop his tort claim that he's intent to sue. For what you're doing at this moment, I'm suing you. That's some gangster shit, bro. He's like, he's a fucking Marine, bro. He goes in prepared. He went into Iraq or whatever, I forget, wherever he was, prepared. He went into that room prepared with tort claims, Supreme Court ruling. Everything he needed was there, and the cop ignored it. Big mistake.
We seen it. Remember? You showed the video.
He ignored it.
Watched the whole thing.
He ignored, and that cop lost his qualified immunity, and he may have lost his job because of this. The mayor's going to lose his seat because of this. And that whole town is going to go down in the way it should. And I hope the council president, Anita, takes over. She's the only nice person in that friggin' town with a heart. The council president. Because she said the arrest was illegal last year. She was the only one who said the arrest was illegal.
That tastes like honey smack.
Oh, yes. We're smoking honey smacks. Honey smacking good. Yeah, so we need to incorporate our random ass podcast into this because we sit down here and just smoke and joke around and have fun. And we're like, what?
Talking about all this stuff.
Talking about funny stuff. Hey, pull that mic over to you a little bit.
I'm going to come up to it.
There you go. Yeah, I was trying to tell Chris before about that thing hitting him. And he's like, yeah, the news guys don't like when I do it either. Well, don't do it.
There's an idea.
Do that.
I can go with that one.
Mm-hmm.
There's an idea I could get behind.
I'm a sound guy. I have to deal with that all the time. Crazy stuff. Hair, jewelry.
Clink, clink.
My pastor has a mic that comes out like this. Comes out. You figured there'd be no problems with it?
No, keep tapping the glasses.
Not that, no. Bead of sweat.
What?
Bead of sweat. Boom. Landing on the foam. You just sound like you're
yeah, muffled.
Of all things. And we're like, what do we do? Just
Right
keep a mic.
there, just give them the. What you had to do is go like this.
We didn't know what it was. We didn't. Then we figured out, it's a bead of sweat that just rolled down from his cheek down.
Whenever that happens, you get muffled, just something in the mic.
That's it. That's it. Blow it out. It'll blow out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Just that simple. Just blow it out.
Mm-hmm. You always got to deal with stuff quickly too. As a sound guy, you got to deal with that shit quickly.
You got to be on point with it. You got to know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell them. Just like. Ooh, up, so I'm gonna burn myself.
All right. My pastor's crazy. He puts swords in the. Takes a big sword, throws it in the stage.
That's cool.
Last week he was throwing fruit. He had a big table of fruit. He's throwing pineapples and coconuts at people. I like it.
So you mean to tell me your pastor's in church playing ninja fruit? He just out there.
Oh yeah.
He got y'all playing ninja fruit in the crowd while he throwing it. Here, chop this one. I can get behind that.
For 3 services.
I get behind that.
3 services.
I'm teaching y'all survival. Something coming at your face, you cut it.
Mm-hmm. Talk about first fruits. The first fruits. We'll skip the first fruits to a tithe as a tithe. Not the last fruits, first ones.
Won't give no apples, right?
They had, you name it. I made soup. I had carrots and celery, and I made soup. And I took a coconut. I never had a coconut before, and I tried to open it up like.
Oh no!
No, I had a hard time.
You know, thick things out there about this thick. Once you get inside,
I couldn't open it.
And that's after you get to the hard shell. After you get past the hard shell, it's about this thick.
There's more in there than the white meat's way in there inside.
The white part's still hard. You got to crack that.
You got to get there. That's too much work.
It's better to drill. Find a hole and that's how they do it. Like when they do it, they have like this thing. Sometimes they'd use a cork, but how they would do it is they would just they get it to the middle of it.
I think we should blast. A little C4, a little M80. M80. Stick the M80 in there.
Never had no water. What you gonna do with it?
Boom.
It's gone.
Put it in a box.
He's so waste. Better be a hard box.
Hot box.
You know what I was going to suggest when you guys was talking about bringing a box to hot box in? I was going to say bring a head hot box.
What, like a mask?
No, I mean a mask would be cool too, but take like a box or a tote, cut a hole in it, put the weed down the bottom, light it. Let it be sucked in. You put your face in. Go to town.
Let's do that.
That way you can just pull your head out.
Let's do that.
Yeah, you just put a chair right there and you just put your face in. Or you could do something wild, like bring like a little blower and put it on the end of it, light it, and it would just blow the smoke.
No, I always said I wouldn't do that. Couldn't do it. Because I know too many people that need that weed.
No, I ain't talking about nothing crazy.
One of those things where
No. I'm not talking about
I can't
one of
do
those
that.
where you could just blow a whole ounce of weed.
No, I can't do it.
No, I mean something small to where individually you put your head in there.
Put a joint, like a joint.
Yeah, it fills the box up, and you go in there, take your big puff, leave your face in there as long as you want.
Yeah.
And you come out of there. You know what I'm saying? A nug at a time. A nug will fill a box up. It ain't nothing crazy. You ain't trying to fill a room.
No.
Just a box. Like, tote, decent sized tote. You can put your face in. Like cut a hole in it so you put your face in. Put your head in there and go to town. Mm-hmm. Put a rag over it or something. Lift the rag up. Put your face into it. Take your pull.
And put it reminds me of something.
Yeah.
Or what?
I don't know about that. That seems like you coming out, not going in. I don't like it. Don't want the thought in my head.
Are you coming or going?
Yeah, bro. Like you peeking out. I know what you're trying to peek out of. You coming or going? Because if you coming, it's weird.
Was that Jim Carrey coming out of that one thing? Was it
Rhinoceros?
Rhinoceros, yeah.
Ace Ventura, opening scene, hilarious.
Woo. Yeah.
He was in there sweating Bezos.
Mm-mm.
He's gonna go out there in the freaking Africa, in the middle of the, I don't even know what that call that. I don't know. Wherever he was, it was hot. The prairie. He was in the middle of a prairie.
What's that called? That's a word for that.
What?
Not the Sahara.
No, the prairie. They call it prairie where all them all the little animals would be out there in that wasteland. It's
There's
prairie.
another word for it that I'm trying to think of. Not wasteland. Not tundra.
Don't you be out there talking about Africa like that.
Tundra.
What kind
Not,
of shit is that?
no. There's a word for it. There's a word for it.
Wasteland.
There's a word for it.
How dare you?
What the hell is that?
The word does not exist, sir.
I can look it up. I'll look it up.
How'd everybody like the
Synonym.
pic?
Synonym.
Ed,
Huh?
how'd everybody like the picture?
I didn't put it out yet. I have to go. I have to share it. And synonym. Tundra. Prairie, steppe, wasteland, expanse. It's not here though. Grassland, savanna. Savannah, I think, is the one I was thinking of. Savannah. Plateau, lowland, floodplain. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it called the lowland.
Lowland, veldt, moor, campo, lay.
Never heard of those.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I never heard it called the prairie.
Prairie's here, yeah.
Prairie for sure.
Meadow.
A meadow? No, that's a little off.
Meadow, yeah.
Meadow's a little off. Fucking meadow. When I think of meadow, I think of a waterfall off in the distance with some what do you call that? Marsh?
Marsh.
It's marsh, right?
Bottomland. What's bottomland?
I think that's ass hair.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Bottomland.
Bottomland.
A lot of hills and hairy
ass hair.
Yeah.
Just a lot of moss.
A lot of moss.
Just everywhere, just growing on everything.
A lot of moss.
Just coming from every orifice.
A lot of brown dirt.
Orifice.
Mm.
No, you said brown?
Brown
No,
dirt.
it's brown already. Most of the time. When it's not, I don't suggest you fuck with it.
Caves. Big cave.
I don't know about that one.
Big cave with a lot of dirt around it.
You wild. Who cave you been in? What cave have you been in, my guy? If so, I don't never want to go in that sucker. He said it was big cave. First off, it was a big cave. That's not supposed to be.
That's not good. That's not.
And second, it was dirty. What did you say it was?
You don't want a big dirty cave. Oh.
I want my cave sealed. Stay that way.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
A clean seal cave.
You gotta have a good seal.
You better.
Don't blow that gasket out.
If it's male, you better. Yeah. That's so better be tight. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Do what you like. Do what you like. Do what you like.
Do what feels good.
If you like a loose caboose, go for it.
Don't let no one steal your joy if that's what you want.
No, get it.
You
Get it.
Do what you want in your life.
No discriminations here, buddy.
No.
I'm just cracking jokes. Quick disclaimer, and I meant every word.
We're just smoking a blunt. This is our debrief. We have a little debrief after the show.
Yeah, smoking a blunt, having a little devil's advocacy.
Yeah, devil's advocacy. Before it was God's advocacy, this is devil's advocacy.
This is devil's advocacy time. We gotta play the other side.
Yeah, we think about the other side now. What are they doing?
We gotta hit the dirt now.
Shock jock. Go back to shock jock shit.
Yeah, right. Shock jock. What could we talk about that has shocked the shit out of the people?
I just have my effects ready at all times.
Yeah. I ain't heard one. One tonight.
I need my effects. I need to get this board master. Yeah, I need all that.
Yeah.
Nothing here.
Yeah, you're.
No, you say.
Yeah, you're. Are you feeling mad?
No.
I feel like I got a high. Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah. I can't do it right now. Gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Ooh. Hurt my voice.
I said I can't do it right now because you're hurt.
Yeah.
Are you feeling mad? Are you feeling kind of sad too? You're
How you doing?
I'm telling you, I can't get sick of that sample. What is that?
You got me.
It doesn't even start like that.
Are you feeling mad? Are you?
Are you? How high are those people making those puppet shows? How high are they?
They gotta be higher than
Come on.
You see the ones that I sent you? With the little the 4 black puppets that be making fun of people?
I love those guys.
Those guys are funny as hell.
Those are 4 different dudes with 4 puppets.
Funny as
That's
hell.
funny. I know. They're good. They've been doing that for a
wow, yeah. They are hilarious.
They make some money doing that too.
I don't care. Just keep making the content.
Yeah.
They're hilarious.
Keep going.
I hope you are making the most money you possibly can from it.
They live off that shit.
I hope they are.
We need to get on that.
Well,
shit.
It's not as easy as you think, but yeah.
Well, if we were chicks, it'd be easy.
No.
If we were chicks, it's a sexist society out there, and if we were chicks with our boobs out, I'm telling you, people would watch. But
you mean
we have to? We have to work a lot harder as guys to get those likes and
not
hits.
necessarily. What you do need to do is incorporate one of those into the show. Third C. That's all you need to do. Once you do that, then so there you go.
Okay,
that's all you need to do.
I know just a person. Smart. They have their own podcast.
Yeah.
Looking to be educating people. Like Andrea. When we moved to Woodbridge, she's right around the corner. We can get Andrea on the show.
Yep. I'm still on. What?
Are you feeling mad? Are you feeling kind of sad too? You're.
I want that just by itself.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know.
I like it.
Me too.
Whatever it is.
That's why I keep repeating.
Take my money. Just take my money. Do it again.
One more time.
Come on, man.
Are you feeling kind of sick?
Feeling mad?
You're. Oh, you know what I need too is the Ric Flair.
Rudy time.
Roll it.
Hey, that's what I have. I recently got myself a Funko Pop made of myself.
You did.
Mr. Big Bear himself.
You have it?
It's upstairs. In one of them boxes. But I have a picture of it.
What are you doing Thursday? Next Thursday? Want to come to Hot Box for Homegrown in Trenton? Leaving early. Early.
The hell is early?
Well, if you don't want to leave early, you could just drive down there. But if you want me to pick you up, 8:30ish.
That's not early.
8.
I'm up.
Okay, it'll be 8 then.
I'll be up.
I want to be there by 9, really, and have a blunt rolled, and just get there by 9, and just chill. Don't have to set up by 9. Just chill out. Make sure we got a good spot, good parking spot, and we can burn right there.
So exactly what this is?
Yeah.
Exactly what is this?
Hot Box for Home Grow. We're going to protest and fight for home grow and for cannabis patients' rights.
Nice.
And wheelchair access, because there's no wheelchair access to the State House lawn. So we actually have to put up ramps and signs and cones. So it's a shit show. And we prove every week that the government doesn't care about us, but nobody really cares. So we still do it, though.
Okay.
We still do it.
Approximately how many black folks attend this? Because I don't want to be the only person they can target.
It depends. You don't want to be targeted.
Yeah, I don't want to be the only person they looking at like, yeah, we gonna get you. I don't live around here.
We always have black people coming up. Yeah, a lot of people that we know, and a lot of random people from Trenton that know us. Also,
Yeah, but how many of them going to be stationed?
we can go to the Weed Man's joint after.
Oh yeah,
that place is cool. Go to Hub 13. Trenton's cool. If you know where to go, Trenton's cool. Good food there. You can't just walk around the street, though. My friend got mugged just hanging out.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's bad.
Yeah, I know that. That is a daytime only spot.
Daytime only. Gotta know where you're going.
Go at night. Better watch your back. Did they know you ain't from around there?
You good? All right. So thanks, everybody. Hey, what's this? Johnny Stash is still out there. Hey, Johnny Stash. Badlands. That's right. Johnny Stash, are you coming to burn up, clean up? Ever see the Ron Rice Sports Complex? It's called the Ron Rice Sports Complex now? Really? I didn't know that. Ron Rice was on the podcast twice. I got to give him the respect that he came on the podcast twice. And good for him. What's this? He came around at the end there, that guy. But some of the stuff he said, he was back and forth. Kind of all over the place. This cannabis will kill you. Cannabis ain't going to kill you, Ron.
Cannabis will help.
It'll help you. It's going to help me. All right, Johnny. See you at Hotbox for Home Grow. Have a good night, everybody. Hotbox or Home Grow next week, Thursday at the State House. See you, Bear.
One.
They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. They shall grow, Johnny. You're right. They shall grow. They shall grow.